Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
And with James Farley.
Hello.
And yes, John Denton.
Yo.
What's happening? It's been a lovely Easter weekend. We're all regretting going back to work tomorrow. No one wants to do it, but you have to earn the big bucks. But I saw you last week, didn't I, James?
We did, yeah. We did, yeah.
We had a lovely little trip to the Science Museum, and I'll be honest, right, I said to you, like, the thought of going to a museum with James Farley doesn't exactly fill me with excitement.
Why? What's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, you're an educated man, and I ain't, right? Which means that I find you fucking boring when it comes to that stuff. And going to a place where, you know, like a museum with you, I just about, oh, David, come and have a look at this. It's from the... Oh, shut up. I just want to press the buttons and watch the little, like, things move and go, you know what I mean?
That's really sad, David. It's really sad.
Why is that sad?
It just is. Why don't you want to, like, you know, expand your horizons a bit? You know, think about some things.
I'm happy where I am. I likes what I likes, mate. Do you know what I mean? I've seen everything I want to see. I'm quite content. I don't need to expand any horizons.
That's really
quite
sad.
happy where I am playing my computer games. Thankfully, we were going to the, what is it called? The Power Up Expo at the Science Museum. And what was that for?
Well, you know, obviously you're going to...
I thought you'd be in your element, right? Because there was all these failed consoles there. You got to play on a Jaguar.
I did, yeah.
You got to play on a, what was the one that you were totally, really insanely excited about? You were like, Dave, look, it's a CDO, is it?
No, it was a 3DO. They had a 3DO there.
3DO.
And I've always wanted to try one of those.
Why? Why were you so excited about that?
Well, because when I was, like, younger, like, Edge used to run all these stories, like, for months and months and months. They were always going on about the 3DO, and also, especially, they were going on about, like, the M2 upgrade and all this kind of thing. And basically how it was the future of video games, and they had loads of features and everything, and then it sunk without a trace. And I've always just been really curious about this machine. And yes, I was kind of excited to get the chance to actually... And it was a Panasonic one as well, which is the one I always thought looked the best of the lot. Because it was a really... Do you know anything about it, Dave? Like the concept of it?
No.
It's really interesting because it started out... It was Trip Hawkins, who was one of the founders of EA. And he had this idea that he was going to create a console that was going to be like a reference board that then other companies could then, like, make it from. So you get, like, Panasonic could make one, you know, even, like, potentially before the PlayStation, like Sony could or whatever, but they'd all be using the same reference board, but all the different companies would, you know, come out with their own sort of version of the machine. And it was going to be like, you know, the all singing, all dancing, like, you know, sort of 32-bit, you know, video CDs and all that kind of thing. But
So
it was a massive failure. It didn't work.
Why?
Well, it was really expensive. Like, when it came out, it was really super expensive compared with everything else. And also, most of the game support the game support wasn't that great either. There wasn't, like, much out for it. Although there was loads of EA games, and one of the games I got to play there was Road Rash. And there's like a bunch of games from that era where actually the 3DO one's supposed to be like one of the best versions of, like, a lot of games from that era, but nobody knows about it because it was a big failure. So
it's funny because we came away from we come away from the exhibition thinking, well, it wasn't actually that good. It was just a bunch of old consoles set up with TVs, and there was, you know, certain things that are just sacrilege, like, you know, really old games playing on flat screen TVs that had input lag that was just insane, stuff like that. A lot of third party controllers, but part of me kind of thinks, well, actually it does do what it says on the tin. Like, it doesn't say, I mean, it says these are old games and a chance to play consoles that you may never have seen before and stuff like that. And that's what it was, really. It was a huge room set up with, like, old games, old consoles and stuff. It confirmed a few things. Some I liked, some I didn't. It confirmed, that the Sega Dreamcast is a pile of junk.
That is absolute nonsense. Because we were going to play... What was it? Was it, say... What's the football game on the Dreamcast, Matt?
It was Virtua Striker, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't that. It was something else. But
it was Virtua Striker.
Was it Virtua Striker? Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, we had trouble getting it going, and so David was just using it as an excuse to, like,
I saw
beat
the video.
Saturn. It's
well,
ridiculous.
You were going, no, just use the pad. And I said, well, look, the fucking VMU or whatever it's called in the thing, that was just like flashing off and on. I'm going, there's definitely something wrong with it. No, this is just what it's like. Hold on, let me restart.
Yeah, I reset it once, and then you didn't have the patience for it, so then we had to go and play ISS instead. It was ridiculous. Like, your attention span is, like, insane. Like, it's like a couple of seconds, you're like, I'm not in this, and then you're just gone. It's just ridiculous.
Like what? How do you mean?
Well, like with that, like you wouldn't give it a chance to like sit down and try and and start getting it working and stuff.
James, you reset the menus 3 times and reset the full console another time. I'm sorry, if that's bad patience, then I think there'll be a lot of people like me. Do you know what I mean?
The Dreamcast was a good machine, and they weren't. What was also a shame about it is they had a bunch of machines there, but they didn't really choose the best games to put in stuff either. Like, I mean, there was like loads of machines there with ukulele on. I mean, what's that about? That's odd. Or like Crash Bandicoot, like the trilogy remaster.
Well, to be fair, right, Crash Bandicoot is, we've found out recently, a very popular title. I can't slag off the game, I can't slag off the game selection, because the ones that you expect to be there are there. Like, their GoldenEye set up, Mario Kart from the N64, they had Halo, the original Halo on original Xboxes, all that sort of stuff was set up. That's fine. It didn't really bother me. But it was just like, as I said, the third-party controller stuff, as a whole, it's not really an issue because third-party controllers aren't that bad. But for the N64, it was like, whoa, what is this?
Like, it was insane. The stick on that, it was like rock, like it wouldn't move. Like you would like, the stick wouldn't move.
It was like one of those sticks where it wouldn't go back to the centre. It was just like, it was just stuck in place and stuff like that. It was like, oh my God. The other thing it confirmed for me is that, I'll hold my hand up. I wouldn't have done it on the night, but I'll hold my hand up and say, James is the best gamer on the podcast, I reckon. Yeah, out of the 4 of us, he's probably the best. Because we had a little competition, didn't we? Anything that was 2-player, we'd sit down and play, and then we'd keep score. And I think you won 5-2?
Yeah, it's 5-2 in the end, yeah.
I beat you on ISS, which was incredible, actually, because I didn't even have a pass button. That weren't working.
True, that was fair.
And what was the other
Mario
game?
Kart.
Mario Kart 64.
Which was insane because I nearly picked that and then it went wrong, like right at the end.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was beautiful. That was pretty cool because we were playing these old games and still coming away having a good time from them.
That was the best thing about it. Like I had a genuinely good time doing that. I mean, that was great, especially that Halo match we played. Like that got really tense, and it was
that was insane. We'll get to that because the one thing that I noticed about how James plays games. So we played Time Splitters 2 and Halo, and James won both those games. But I'll tell you this, and this isn't me being bitter, it's just an observation, right? 1-on-1, if we had the same guns, same all of that sort of stuff, I was winning that shootout every time, right?
Not every time,
James, it was every time. James, however, his knowledge of the way he quickly learns a map is unbelievable. Like especially that Halo game. Like James knew exactly where the overshield was, the invisible thing, and the shotgun, and that was it. He was just circling around in that circle, and it genuinely felt like cheating. It wasn't. I'm not accusing you of that. You just learnt the map way quicker than I ever could. Like, I'm terrible with learning maps. Like it takes me a long time. Once I'm there, I'm alright, but I was infuriated because every time I come up against James, I would still get him down to half health, but because he had an overshield and a shotgun, that was it. I just had no chance. So you won, what was it, 25-24 in the end?
Yeah, it was really close.
Properly tense.
Yeah.
Like, it just reminds me, and the other thing was how awful Time Splitters 2 is to play these days. Like, It feels like a total mess to play, but how brilliant Halo still feels. Like the original Halo back then, it didn't look like crap, it didn't run like crap.
And that was the other thing though, because when we first started playing it, it felt so slow and like sluggish, like Halo did.
Yeah.
But then after a while, it kind of like, it doesn't matter because this is still amazing. Like this is still really, really fun to play.
It really was, and we were just playing 1-on-1, and it was still fantastic. That game.
Were you using the Duke controller or the S?
The S.
No, they did have a Duke there though, didn't they, James?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
But did that Duke feel as massive as it felt back in the day, or was it fine?
Didn't touch it. We just used the S because David said that's rubbish, so we didn't use it.
So if you had a chance to hold one,
John always defends the Duke, right?
See, I thought
You're
the Duke,
a Duke defender, John.
I thought the Duke was all right because
Duke's
that
business,
was the first
mate.
one I had,
The
like
Duke's
when I bought an
business.
Xbox, and I always thought it felt really good for Halo. I thought, like the Duke. Yeah.
I got big hands. I've got
I
big
haven't
hands.
exactly
It's
got
fine.
small
The Duke
hands,
is
and
business.
that Duke, because it was my controller as well for a long time before I got an S, and I hated it back then, and I still hate it now. I don't get it. Like it's the angle of the buttons, like the angle of the buttons, the angle of your hands when you're holding it. I don't know. I'd never liked that pad.
No, when you fire a gun in Halo, that thing's like boom, boom, boom,
That was
boom,
what I
boom in
liked
your
about
hand.
it.
So
That's why I said it
powerful.
really felt like it was designed for that game. Like it just, it felt like you're holding like a gun or something. No,
It wasn't very good for anything else.
They
But I
confirmed
basically
how much
just
the new
played
Dukes
Halo,
are
so I didn't really
gonna
care.
cost, because the new pad now is like 60 quid if you get like the Sea of Thieves one, so the Duke must be like 900 quid.
Yeah, but isn't the new Duke got like a whole LCD LED screen?
It has been
whatever in
LCD or LED, like a little bit where they used to have an Xbox logo, yeah.
That's weird.
But I'd love to see one of those in real life, and yeah.
I can't imagine ever buying one of that. Like, John, if you genuinely really love that pad, would you buy one of his new ones?
No, because it's not as good as the new pad. The current Xbox
the S
pad.
pad still feels good to hold.
Yeah, no, I got no issue with the S pad. I just like the Duke. It's not saying it's better, it's worse. I'm not saying anything like that. But everyone hates on the Duke. And I'm like, well, you motherfuckers have just got small hands or something, because the Duke's the real deal. The Duke is the real deal for playing Halo. I don't care. And also, once I got so angry, I threw it at the floor, and it bounced up and hit the ceiling. And then what sort of controller can you do that with?
Follow up. You can pre-order the Duke now on Amazon for $69.99. It's out on the 8th of May.
That's a lot of money for a Duke. I did hold a Duke the other day, though. We cleared out my mum's old spare bedroom that used to be my brother's bedroom back in their family home. There was a couple of Dukes sitting in there, and it's like, yep, still feels good. Still big
got to ask
chunky
John, because
motherfucker, I like
long-time listeners to the show and your podcast will ask, is the hole still behind the poster in...
Well, the hole has now been fixed. That was the reason.
Unbelievable.
We cleared out the room, and then my mum's friend came, who's a designer. She came to stay for a bit, interior design. She fixed the hole. She fixed the other hole that I elbowed through the same wall because my brother annoyed me. And yeah, there was some other problems. She fixed it all. So yeah, it's gone.
Were you not tempted to make a new hole and put a new poster over it? Like a 2018... What's a poster over it back in the day?
Diego Forlan.
Yeah, so just like now, you should, I don't know, put like Rashford and like smash a new hole in it, Rashford poster.
You should have got the poster from the Shawshank Redemption and putting it over the top. A little bit of a reference there. So, who contacted this designer?
Well, I told you, it was my mum's friend.
His Grand
She
Designs,
contacted
mate.
her via text
What
message.
did you say though? Can you come over and fill in John's holes? We've called them John's holes.
Well, A, my mum doesn't sound like that. That's weird. And B, she's like our oldest friend, and she offered to come and stay for a week and sort the room out, because the room's like basically just turned into the room where everything went in the house, because my brother didn't live there. Just, that happens in houses sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Also,
it got to the point where my mum couldn't clear it out.
And she's like, oh, that whole story is hilarious, but we should fill it up for another gag.
Gag.
I think my balls just dropped.
Thanks for running over the rest of my story there, Matt.
Mouthfuls just drops. Gag. Yeah, I know what you mean, John, because technically my old bedroom at my mum and dad's house, there's now a fridge. And they said, well, the fridge was too small, so we bought another fridge and put it in your room. All right, okay, fine. I'm not moving back then. We're not... Right, okay. Should we get to feedback? I just went down a rabbit hole in my mind then and thought I'm not going to slip down there any further. Matt, should we get to feedback about last week's show? Sorry, Power Up is available now. Google it.
Brilliant. That's the sort of press coverage they wanted by sending you
to be honest, I think if you're going there just wanting to play old games like that, if you go with a few mates, I think you'll have a good time. We come away thinking, but then, we wouldn't have gone had we not been invited along. But we still come out like playing some games that we had a really good fun with that we never would have played again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can't see me and James sitting down on an Xbox and playing Halo, but we came out with it was such a good fucking game that it was quality. But yeah, okay, cool.
So if you
feedback.
want to go and restart a Dreamcast 3 or 4 times, get yourself down to the Science Museum.
Feedback.
Before that, we should probably talk about our nomination for the Games Media Brit List, should we not, Dave?
Oh, God, yeah. Thank you so much, anyone that nominated us. I mean, we nominated ourselves, didn't we, Matt?
Yeah.
You wrote a whole little thing. John wrote it, and then you deleted one word because it was one word over the word
I
count
wrote
limit.
it, John edited it, collaboration.
Was it?
Teamwork.
John? You're not going to address the fact that you were slightly pissed off about
I can't remember. That's how bad my memory is. I remember the bit when it was 701 words. I've deleted a word, and I was like, okay, that was an insight into your mind. Fucking hell.
I get that.
Well, they said 700 was the max, and it's like, well, yeah, I don't think they're counting, but yeah.
Matt is a perfectionist. Whenever I send an email out about the podcast to the guys at Spong who put it on the feed for us, there'll always be a follow up from Matt going, "Ha, yeah, just getting rid of the typos there." And it's like, Matt, no one reads those descriptions of the podcast anyway. It doesn't matter. I'm tired. Leave me alone now, and I'm just getting angry at you.
It matters, Dave.
Okay, all right, okay, fine. I ain't gonna dish you for that. If you want to correct me, that I'd like it's good because fine. But it's still, just know that I'm sitting there just going like rolling my eyes and sighing at your email. Can I just say, when it was announced that we were nominated for a Games Media Brit List Award. I saw a lot of people on Twitter going, congratulations to, hey, look, I've been nominated. Congratulations to everyone else that was nominated. Blah, 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 all the best and all that sort of shit. Can you read out the list of people we're up against? Because we're nominated for Best Radio and Podcast, right? Let's go through the other nominations because I'll tell you why they shouldn't win it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I don't even need to tell you why we should win it. You already know.
Do we have
but I'm going to tell you
this?
why
This
these
is
people.
just
Yes,
seems a bit
James, we have to do
mean-spirited.
this.
I don't give a fuck, James. Go on.
Adam Rosser from BBC 5 Live Game On.
Right. Okay. BBC. I respect the BBC. I've got a lot of time for the BBC. They've got 2 nominations in this, haven't they? They've got
the other one is
Newsbeat one as
Stefan
well.
Powell from BBC Newsbeat.
Right. Okay. Fair play. Never listened to them. Right. But I'll tell you this: they can't turn around and say Sea of Thieves is fucking shit. They're not allowed to say that because it's got 2 swear words in there, hasn't it? They can't put that on the BBC.
They cannot.
No, they shouldn't win. They can't speak their mind the way we can. Next.
IGN?
IGN, right. Okay, IGN. Got a lot of time for Joe Scrabbles, right? Have you ever listened to that podcast? Oh, what films have you watched this week? No, mate. No, I'm sorry. If you want to have a film podcast, have a film podcast. Don't IGN it up.
It is mostly about film, like every week.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's I mean, Games Media Brit List. No, sorry. You good try. You ain't won the award. Go on. Who's next?
One Life Left.
One Life Left. Well, I mean, do I really need to go into it?
You don't. Rock Paper Shotgun Electronic Wireless Show.
I mean, for the title alone, no. Electronic Wireless Show. Come on, you're supposed to like Rock Paper Shotgun have intelligent writers. They can write a better title than that. So for the title alone, I've not heard the podcast. I'm not into PC gaming. See you later.
Dave, I don't think you should be slagging someone else for the name of their podcast. I mean, like what we're called. It's ridiculous.
What are we called?
Yeah,
exactly.
The Computer Game Show, the most on point name for a podcast you will ever hear. Granted,
in the 1980s.
we don't talk about PC gaming, but it spells it out. The video game show was taken by Jim Sterling, so we couldn't do this. And we know how much you love Jim Sterling, James, and we don't want to shit on your heroes. So we went with the Computer Game Show. It's on point, yeah?
Right, next. Staying In. Anyone?
Isn't that show from... Isn't that like a Lee Mack show?
No, I
on
think that's
BBC
called Not
One?
Going Out.
Oh, right. Same thing, innit?
The Video Gamer Podcast.
The Video Gamer Podcast, what, the guys that steal all our
I was
ideas?
going to say, I mean, they basically saw that we were in this and said, okay, we better be in this as well. That's probably
yeah,
why.
exactly. Come on.
Gareth Dutton, Making Games is Fun. Quite a prolific podcast.
He's released 1 episode since 2016 and he gets a nomination, right? And someone might turn around and say, well, no, it's quality over quantity. That episode might be really good. And you might be right. I've not listened to it, like most people. I've not listened to it. So, no. Next.
Yeah, I mean, and also Kane and Rince. So, I mean, thank you.
Kane and Rince. I thought that was a joke. Like, I thought it was a typo or something at first. Kane and Rince. Are you kidding me?
I mean, are all 21 members going to arrive for the awards? Because they're going to need a big fuck-off table.
They'll instantly regret that. The thing is, most of them don't drink those, so then the amount of money they'll spend on the free booze will be more for the 4 of us than it would be for the 21
I don't know.
of
I mean, like
those.
J2Os are pretty expensive. Like Schlur. I don't know what those guys are into now. But
I mean, I think they thought, hold on, we put the Computer Game Show on there. They're a bit lowbrow. We need to look a little bit more highbrow. Stick them on there. But come on. Well, we've won that. We've won it. And if we don't win it, just know that we've won it. Because, like, come on.
Yeah, but basically, at this point, it's no point looking at results. We've won it. Just, when the results come out, just accept that we've probably won it, and no need to even check.
I mean, it legitimises the award. If we win it, okay, yeah, they've picked the right ones. If we don't win it, something's gone wrong. You know what I mean? Someone's slipped a 20 under the table.
You know what's going to happen, don't you? The Video Gamer Podcast's going to win for their Game of the Year show.
If they do that, mate, I'm fucking tearing the place up. I'm going Grainger Games on them. I'm telling you
I'm going to
that.
be windmilling every sucker in that place.
Yeah, that Grainger Games completely ruined that GMA's one year. They've seen nothing till they see me lose it for them winning the Game of the Year show. Don't get me started. I'll go fucking mental.
One of us is going to go Kanye. They're going to have to. James, you might have to do it.
James getting on stage.
Matt, what does that even mean? What does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
Oh my god, you don't know that reference?
James. You know that.
James, come on.
I assume you're being sarcastic.
I bet he does.
I don't. Seriously, I've no idea what you're talking
Kanye West came on stage when Taylor Swift won that award.
When was this?
8 years ago? Forget it. A long time ago.
Forget it. Well, anyway, we're very,
very
very excited.
away for a long time. I missed a lot of stuff.
Do you know anything about the actual event yet, Matt? Have they emailed you?
No.
So we don't know if we're supposed to be wearing suits and stuff.
I mean, the last few GMA things have been, and it's one same.
No, the last one wasn't.
Oh, wasn't it?
Hang on,
the last one was more.
You're
casual.
actually thinking of going to this?
Sorry, James. What?
You're actually thinking of going to this?
Why would we not?
Why wouldn't we go to it?
Of course.
I'm not Sean Bell.
No, I wasn't expecting.
I'm not trying to make a
honestly
stand.
Was not expecting you were going to go. I thought that was a
Why
bit.
the fuck would I not go, you dickhead?
I don't know.
It's free beer.
It's only a tube ride for Dave.
I don't know. I just thought I was just a bit surprised. But yeah, go on.
That's
James,
weird.
we're
You're
all going to
going.
wear pastel-coloured suits like Dumb and Dumber.
James, you're definitely going.
What am I going to wear?
We're all going.
Well, you get a suit, you
Wear that thing you wore to your graduation.
Oh, yes. Yeah, chuck your hat in the air when Gareth Dutton wins.
Alright, okay, yeah, we're very humbled. We love it. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much, everyone who nominated us. Oh, yeah, I'm joking. We did it. So.
And I know I said all that stuff about the other nominees and stuff, but yeah, I really, really mean it. Let's go. Next, let's go feedback.
Jucifer, dropped some feedback regarding the news. So I listened to the pod today and I have a few comments. So let me premise this by saying I'm not a podcaster and have never done it. So anything like it, or anything like it. So I'm not claiming I know anything about this except from a listener's point of view. Now,
he's aware of that. Why is he emailing in telling us how to podcast then?
Yeah.
If he's aware of that, go on.
Now, without knowing anything about James's process, I would think the best way to do the news would be to read a little gaming news during the week and mark up the ones you think would make for some good discussion on the pod. Or is this how you're doing it already?
Do you know, this is really funny when I read that, because it's like, how else would I be doing that? Like, apart from reading the news and thinking that one looks interesting and saying, oh, I will talk about that. That's such a weird statement.
Well, I
it's
assume
just
when
odd.
you listen to the show and we're like, okay, next. And you're like, oh no, but the share price went up. Also, you might want to think about the segue to the next part of the pod. Like on the last pod, you're talking about Sea of Thieves news, and then you went straight to the review after the news. Oh, sorry. Fuck it. Like.
Matt, what is going on?
Sorry. I was trying to edit on the fly like you guys tell me to, and it all went really wrong. Also, you might want to think about the segue to the next part of the pod. Like on the last pod, leaving the Sea of Thieves news for last, then going straight into the review after the news bit. Instead, a bit awkwardly leaving the topic, then doing another news article, and then go back to Sea of Thieves in the next section.
I mean, that is absolutely that's a very, very good point. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's all up to you then, though, Dave, isn't it?
Go on.
Well, because, okay, I do the news, and I have it you know what the news schedule's going to be, and then also you know what you've been playing is going to be. So you're the one who's going to have to choose who's going to talk about what you've been playing next.
Plan's going to be. You know
it's in the doc.
Yeah.
So then I've got to go and rearrange your news.
No, you haven't got to rearrange anything.
No, you've got to rearrange his mind.
All you've got to do, Dave, is you've got to choose who's going to talk for what you've been playing next. So then it fits.
The fuck are you talking about?
Why don't you just look at the what you've been playing bit and then see, everyone's going to be talking about this game.
Well, because I don't know what Dave's going to choose, do I? Because he's the one who chooses who's going to speak. So I don't know what it's going to be, do I?
Oh, fuck off, James.
Do you know, this might be the worst 3 minutes in podcasting history.
I think
we
it
do
might
this whole
be.
bollocks out. This fucking 9-hour email about a load of nothing.
I know, it's
in
just
this
nonsense.
discussion. I'm depressed to have been in this conversation.
Hey, well, James, mate, come on. This is your shit. You need to sort of get it in line. Also, right, I've been thinking, can you just please report it? Like, can you report it to us from now on, as opposed to going, so this has happened, what do you think? Like, can you just...
No, it's worse than that. It's like, something happened. Do you want me to explain the story? Yes.
No, because
that's literally
that's
the
the thing,
section.
right? Because if I bring something up, like, you'll just be like, I'm not interested in that, I don't want to talk about it. And then so it's like, I don't know what is going to pique your interest. I can't read
so
your
just
mind,
go,
David.
okay, next story. You got to list it. Right, okay, whatever, go. Next feedback.
Right, it's all about Sea of Thieves. We had a big Sea of Thieves discussion last week. A lot of people were big fans of John's rant, shall we say. Darren Gargett agreed with a computer game show about their Sea of Thieves talk until John Denton called me a waster. Then
Did you specifically call him a waster, John?
No, he just said anyone who likes the game is an absolute twat.
Well, no, he said that anyone that goes camping.
I didn't say that either. I can't remember what I said.
You did.
I had a lot of fire in my heart.
Don't deny it and say you can't remember. You said people that go camping
anything.
are wasters.
Yeah. You basically said that and sort of sort your life out.
I did say that. No. I said the type of people who have that attitude, like, want to spend their life in, like, I don't mean people who just go camping. I mean people who just, like, fuck off and don't do anything with their lives and go travelling and go and sit in tents and just be, like, just wastes of space. I'm not talking about someone who spends an evening down at fucking Butlins having a camp or going out and cooking the sausages. You do you. That's nice. Get out there in a while, but you're contributing. Yeah, Darren, he contributes to society. He contributes to this podcast.
So to be
he
clear... He
contributes to his own podcast.
So to be clear... Camping is fine. You're all right with people camping.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't really give a shit what anyone does.
All right. Okay. Fine. Cool. Go on.
Anyway, SMW Oosterview continues. I don't really get how annoyed they were at losing treasure either. The whole thing is risk-reward of banking each time versus building up a stockpile quicker. They should have just sunk the boat chasing him so he couldn't respawn on it. I agree that cosmetics aren't enough and the rewards are too low, but I really like the fear when I have chests on board and have the time taken to get them adds to that.
We did sink him. We sinked the fucker 3 times, and then he just respawned like 2 minutes away and just came back.
I like the response
they brought
to that
up
was,
in the...
Really? Did you? Well, yeah.
Yeah,
but really?
They even acknowledged it in their new death penalty that they were going to bring in, that they backed down on because they don't have any fucking spine about this stupid game. That they said, we're going to push people back when their boats are sunk. We're going to push them much, much further away, so they can't do that. So it's clearly an issue.
To be fair, I think the death penalty they
kicked off on Twitter.
To be fair, I think the death penalty they went back on was that if you die, you lose gold.
Yeah, they went back on the whole thing.
Right. Okay.
That was part of it.
Well, they've got to do something about that, haven't they? Because you're right, we did sink that ship quite a fair few times, and yeah, it was just back in no time. And we were even going, that can't be the same guy. Like, how has he found us this quickly? And then it turned up and he was there.
To just reaffirm what my problem is with the game, and I'll just do it very briefly. It feels like a game that has stuck its flag in the ground with a mentality that I personally find pathetic and slightly repugnant. And them backing down on their one statement that they've made, okay, we're going to change it. And then Twitter goes, oh, no. And they're like, oh, no, we wouldn't want to offend anybody. Oh, we didn't mean to offend anybody. That's the whole game. Oh, we don't mean to offend anybody. Well, yeah, you've offended nobody. And by doing that, you've done absolutely nothing apart from just make a big load of empty space.
Yeah,
and it's that mentality that drives me crazy because I see that mentality everywhere at the moment. But nobody's fucking actually achieving anything. They're just too busy worrying about offending everybody. So that's my. It just feels like the video game of that to me.
Okay.
Yeah, go and camp if you want. Fucking hell, I don't give a shit.
Speaking about that, Aaron Sutton, weird hearing the computer game show struggle with a single guy destroying them in Sea of Thieves, then ranting about the hugs and cuddles mindset of modern society.
Okay, I don't see the connection. The two, I mean, talk about two completely different things, but okay, fine.
We'll move on. Although a lot of people actually compare it to Elite. Damocles 693 saying running solo in Sea of Thieves is quite similar to running solo in Elite in a way. You've got a bunch of systems to manage on your ship. You're having to consult a map that isn't on your HUD to plod your route, and there always a threat of being jumped by other players. There is more game in Elite Dangerous, but I think Sea of Thieves is closer to that than No Man's Sky, which it's being compared to. And then basically tons of other people said they really, really enjoyed the Sea of Thieves chat. We'll move on. The commentary, this is Bad Bonobo. The commentary about Sea of Thieves was bang on, but you let them off the hook regarding server issues. You're forgetting that Microsoft controls probably the second largest group of cloud resources in the world with Azure, and scaling up is a question of money, not expertise. So even though Microsoft got all
this reminded me of when people kick off about this is a boring thing, but when people kick off about the roads not being sorted, when it like on the country not being ready for when there's a bit of snow or whatever, and I remember just thinking, well, what do you want to do? Just plough millions and millions of pounds into something that happens once every God knows how? Like, you know, it's not a regular occurrence over
yeah,
it.
but
Why
with
would we just
snow,
waste
they
our money doing that?
They don't necessarily know it's going to come. Whereas with this, they're planning it for years. They're going to launch this game.
Oh, come on! What? So they should put all their resources into this game just in case it falls on its arse. And I'm not being funny.
Not all of their resources, but at least some, so that it does work. You know, like
but
when it starts.
I'm not being funny, but they fixed it so quickly that I can't. You know, you say let them off the hook. I think the fact that they reacted so quickly saved them from. Like, if it was doing that for a week, yeah, I think, you know, would lay into them. But
also on that point, we don't know how. It's not. I mean, I'm sure it's not just a case of just spinning up some more servers. We don't know how this stuff. I'm sure it's different for every single game. Like how it's people are funneled into. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Do we know? None of us fucking know how this shit works. So, you know, it must be different for every game. So I get your point, Dave, definitely. But I mean, I'm sure if there was a case of them just turning on some more servers somewhere, then they would have done that.
Yep,
I'm
you're
sure
right.
it was more complicated than that.
Yep.
We also spoke last week about Darts of Fury, this iOS darts game. Lee Hennigan, I think that's how you pronounce it, has tweeted in saying, I think I've worked out what the deal is with Darts of Fury. You're not playing against live opponents, but they're not bots either. They're ghosts saved from other players' previous sessions, so it's asynchronous multiplayer. That would make a lot more sense rather than it being bots.
It would, but wouldn't they should just say that? Shouldn't they just say that? Because at the moment, everything they say on their app page and everything is play against real opponents, and it's kind of like, okay, if it is like recorded matches, then fine. But I can't even see that being the case. But one thing that I was thinking about the other day is that, say it turns out that you're not playing against real people at all, and it's, you know, all faked or whatever. How bad is that? Like, can you get into proper trouble for that? Is that like false advertising and all that sort of shit? I wonder what the legalities are behind that.
I mean, they're not explicit enough. They just have like player names, but it could, you know, I don't think there's really a case of.
Well, no, there is, because on the app page it literally says play against real opponents.
Oh, right, okay.
But I wonder how they get around like blatantly bullshitting that it's live matches or whatever.
That's strange. It's still a great game, though. I recommend everyone get involved in that.
I've been playing it non-stop.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm still playing it.
Although it does desperately need like a friends multiplayer mode. It's crazy that isn't in the game.
I guess.
Ryan Haman, Switch versus Wii U for couch multiplayer, which is what we discussed last week. The Switch has surprisingly great compatibility with third-party controllers, and 8-Bit Dough sells a wireless adapter that makes it compatible with Xbox One, PS4, Wii U, and PS3 pads. It's great to have so many options. Yeah, I didn't know that you could get an adapter so you can use all your PS4 and Xbox pads on your Switch. That sounds great.
So that's fine, but it's not really like a mainstream solution, though, is it? Like no one's going to do that apart from people like us.
No, but I guess if you are going to play,
they're the best pad out there at the moment. The fucking Switch Pro controller is incredibly good.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely love it. And finally, SMW. The news section reminds me more and more of Carl Pilkington's Monkey News.
We've already done this, Matt. Why are you reading this one? We've already been over this. You just want to have another pop at me, yeah?
Can I finish the feedback?
Yes, you can. Go on.
The news section, this is from SNW, the news section reminds me more and more of Carl Pilkington's Monkey News, where every week he'll just be like, there's not really much going on in the world of monkeys this week. And here's the news.
James?
So anyway, this week, there's been a PlayStation VR price drop, which I thought you might be interested in. So
what's it down to, $250?
It's $259. And
what does that include?
That's a discount of £90, and you get the camera, the headset, VR Worlds, and Playroom VR.
Yeah, I mean, at the time of launch, it was $350, and you had to buy the camera separate and game separate. So this is, this is substantially down compared to what I paid.
It's about where they were, like before Christmas when they started selling them on discount. It's about the same sort of price that they were then, which is really good. I mean, I was happy to pay around that for it. I mean, they've sold.
But then what? So with the Move, because it feels like you have to have the Move controllers to get the most out of this thing.
You don't have to.
I don't
agree with that. No, it depends on what you're going to play. I mean, for stuff like Super Hot, absolutely you need the move controllers for. But for a lot of other stuff, you can get away with just using the DualShock. They work fine. Like Skyrim was fine.
I think you'd be seriously hampered if you didn't have move controllers. Frankly,
in what?
If you want to get the most out of it, definitely remove controllers.
I still think you can get away with the DualShock. It's not too bad.
Okay, fine, but how much are move controllers going for these days? Well, like, say I was to buy this tomorrow and I wanted move controllers. I wanted both sides. Yeah, what? Because weren't they re-releasing them or just?
They repackaged them and then they changed like a couple of buttons and gave it mini USB rather than micro USB, and they were like £70 for the pair. I mean, obviously they were much cheaper in places like CEX. But yeah, they are not cheap.
Still pretty pricey, then.
But no, I think this is great.
This is good. I mean, they've sold 2 million apparently so far, like overall, which it's not bad, is it, for an add-on? Like at that price?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of VR, this makes up 40% of the VR market. Like this is, and then next closest is Oculus with 20% of the VR market. So, considering it's a pretty hacky way of doing VR, you know, with just basically like move control technology from years ago, and it's just lights rather than the infrared technology that the other two headsets used. Considering it's just a hacky thing, I think they've done pretty well to sell 2 million. And you know, support is good. It's not great. It hasn't like blown everyone away, but there are some fantastic games in it. And I think for $259, I think it's well worth getting. But just don't expect to be playing it every single day, or you know. But this is like a slow burn thing, personally.
So we've all got them apart from you, Dave. Would you be interested at this price, or is it still too much? Do you think?
No, it's still too much. I mean, I know that like if I had hundreds to spend, I'd be saving it all for an Xbox One X at this point. But you know, I mean, it's not so much the price at this point. It's just the thinking, how much am I going to use it? You know what I mean? It's like I'm not really going to be using it that often. So trying to justify it is yeah.
See,
could think of, if I had that money in my hands right now, I could think of a number of other things I'd rather spend it on. Put it that way.
The problem I've had with it so far is that it's like it's because the thing is it's not difficult, like because I've got version 2 and it's really easy to set up. You just plug in like 2 cables and then it works like straight away. It's actually 1 cable and it's fine, but it is still, there is still like this sort of like friction for doing it that you don't get, you know, like in the evening when you come home from work and you're just tired or whatever and you just want to play a game. Often you just want to sit down in front of a TV because it's just less hassle. Putting all this on and like sitting in front, like, because when I play it, like you have to sit on like a chair basically. I can't sit on like a sofa like to play it because it doesn't pick you up properly, and it's just hassle like doing all of that. And it's really cool like when you're doing it, but it's just hassle to get it all set up and like play it. Sometimes you just want to lay down and just play games, and it's just
I mean the amount of Rocket League games I've played because I couldn't be bothered to get up and put anything in my console is unreal, and that's pretty pathetic for a human being. But there we go. That's where we are in 2018, boys. That's where we are. All right.
Okay, so next we're going back to Sea of Thieves again, and because apparently it's the fastest selling new IP of the Xbox generation.
Well worked out there. You've really scheduled this news correctly.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
where would that have gone, Dave? Where would that have gone?
Right next to the other Sea of Thieves story, I guess.
Why? Because but there was no. Okay, this is bullshit now. Because the thing is, right, is there was other things in that feedback between the Sea of Thieves stuff before we started talking about this. So what am I supposed to do with that?
No, I accept that. It's Matt's fault. Yeah, so what other games is it comparing to? I mean, I can't really think of any major new IPs to come out on the Xbox.
This is the weird thing, because there was some confusion over this, because the original tweet said that it was the fastest selling first party new IP of this generation, which kind of indicated like it was the fastest selling across like all of the platforms, and that would mean that it's like outsold Horizon Zero Dawn and stuff like that, and like done better than that. But then they still haven't really clarified that. But Aaron Greenberg from Xbox has said he said it's our most successful IP of this generation, so that would indicate that it is a Microsoft thing. I mean, either way though, it's done really well, and it's the best-selling Microsoft game on Windows 10 as well. But like you said, there's not really a lot of competition though, is there? I mean, I can't really remember that much stuff that's come out this generation from Microsoft that's been like new. That's been like
Recore is pretty much it.
There's Quantum Break as well in it, but that's
Quantum Break,
of course, yeah.
That didn't do too well.
None of those really fired, did they? So
no.
And the rest,
and then you had, what was the one with the crazy monsters that were orange and shit, and it had a wacky
Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that was a launch game, so that's always going to have lower sales or whatever. But yeah, I'm okay. All right, fine. I mean, it's doing well, but things tracking this stuff is getting so complicated now. It's like, what does that include? Does that include any of the
Game Pass stuff and
the Game Pass stuff? Does it include? Well, yeah, it's hard to really track how well that game's doing.
I mean, it would be really interesting to see how many people continue playing after that trial expires. And it's like, but we're never going to know that, are we? Because they're not going to tell us probably.
Of course we're not.
Because it's
no.
Better to keep it quiet.
No. Okay.
So the last bit we got here is about Grainger Games. So you were talking about them earlier in the news, and it's all gone badly for them because on the 29th of March, all 67 of their shops have been closed down, and it's kind of sad because there's been no closing down sale, no detail about unfulfilled orders. There's like now 400 people were employed over those 67 stores, and they've all been like laid off or whatever, and all the people that had ordered stuff, they can't get through to like cancel or sort all that out. And it's interesting because I was contacted by a former employee of one of the Grainger stores who told me that like the whole of this process, it like from when it began to with the shutting down, took place just over like about a week or so, which is like it's pretty quick. And it all began with some of the stores being closed because they had their credit line reduced. So
yeah, because this is particularly bad. If the reports are to be believed, it wasn't actually Grainger Games' problems. They suddenly just had a freeze on their loans and credit, right? Stuff like money that they relied on didn't exist anymore. The sort of rug got pulled from underneath them, and a lot of it was down to the market suddenly getting worried about retail because of what's happened to the likes of Maplin and Toys R Us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seemed a little bit sadder than your usual, hey, the company was shit and it went under.
Yeah.
It seemed like that actually they had a business plan and it got pulled, like the rug got pulled from beneath them.
Because it's weird, isn't it? Because we didn't really hear so much. I mean, like Game, you're always hearing about Game, like there being problems with Game and now it's, got issues and stuff. But with Grainger, it never seemed to be that, like the kind of that bad. I mean, the source that I had said about this, because they said that.
So what is this? A source summon an ex-employee?
Yeah, we need to acknowledge this.
Well, this is like an ex-employee of one of the stores. Contact me to tell me this, but they wanted to remain anonymous.
This is after you put out a message asking for anybody involved, right? Listen, man, you got a lot of shit in this episode, but you've gone out and done some proper journalism, so a lot of respect for you, mate.
Fair point. That's a fair point. You actually went out and
I'm not joking. There's no other podcast doing that. They're just getting their news straight from their own website, if they're on a website or anything else. You've actually gone out and done the real job. So, and you've fucking worked hard and you've got kids, so fair play, mate.
Thank you, John.
John, you're absolutely right, and I'm wrong for not actually bringing that up. You're absolutely right. Well done, James.
Well done,
I want to
James.
hear what have you got? What have you got out of this? What were they saying?
Well, also, I mean, the other thing that happened was that the staff were told that investors were coming in to look at the stores, and so when the initial number of stores were closed, they were kind of told that there was maybe going to be a lifeline and that things would be kind of okay, but the source said that they were all very sceptical about this at the time, whether this was true. I mean, from my own experience, I worked for a company once where a similar kind of thing happened, that it just collapsed. And we were told all the time, oh, there's investors coming. They're if it's got to that stage, there really is. It's usually kind of gone too far. But then the staff were then contacted and they were told to come in to just help pack up the stores and that they'd be paid until the end of that month. So this would have been the end of March. So that was a couple of days ago. So that's a bit kind of, a bit mean or whatever. But also the other thing about this that seemed particularly bad from the person that contacted me was that the company didn't really communicate hardly any of this to the staff members. They found out about it through Twitter and Eurogamer, that what had happened and that they were being sort of shut down. And since the closure, nobody's contacted them about P45 or anything at all. It's just, that's kind of it. But I mean, prior to this, also there was.
So they technically don't know that they're unemployed yet. Is that what you're saying?
I imagine so, yeah. But I wouldn't. I'm not entirely sure about that. But yeah, it seems kind of that way. There's not really been any contact. But they also told me that some stores, before this had kind of begun, some stores weren't giving cash refunds on 40 items either. They were doing everything in credit notes. And so, like if you went back with something that was broken, they were like, okay, well, we're not going to refund you cash. We're going to give you a credit note that you've got to spend inside the store. I mean, that kind of...
right now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, kind of right now. And also, the other thing that they told me, which is particularly just sounds horrible. I mean, we've got to say, this... We can't verify a lot of this, but this is kind of what we were told. But the management called the stores and asked the staff members, like, when this was all sort of going down before, to contact people and tell them that their pre-orders wouldn't get their money back. So they had to phone people and tell. Awful. I mean, can you imagine how awful that would be? Like just phoning people and saying, "Yeah, that money you put down, you're not getting that back." And they were like, "Yeah, we got a lot of abuse, for that." And I mean, also, the main thing from this was the source said that they were particularly shocked by the closure because they had weekly news bulletins all the time, and they reported that things were going really well, over Christmas, and things seemed fine, and the management didn't really seem to let on that there were any sort of impending problems, so it was really a bit of a shock. It's just,
well, as I say, from the report I read, I don't think the management knew that there were any problems. It sounded like they were set up in a certain way, and the funding got cut out of nowhere due to the market being so worried about. And these things happen. When you're relying on a market doing well, suddenly everything can just stop. It happens in my industry all the time. There are holes in Canary Wharf where funding gets cut. So they've built basements and stuff, and there's no money to actually build the rest of the fucking building, so it just stops. It's horrible, and it's a horrible situation to be in. And what's even more worrying is, more and more jobs are getting the idea in how industries are going now is reduce staff and get more work done, and it's easier to do with technology. It's way easier to do with technology. It's why Amazon's so big, and with the high street just plummeting, and it has done for about 10 years now. It's been like this for a long time. It is worrying because it's there's going to be unemployment rates just going to go fucking through the roof, especially if the high streets properly crumble. I just hope this isn't the start of more stuff. And obviously, if you work for Grainger Games and you listen to us, what I was referencing earlier wasn't a dig at that company. It was more a dig at what they did at the GMAs one year. And if you just have to Google it to find the full story. But yeah, no, it's horrible. And we feel like I've been through redundancies in many places before, and it's just a horrible time, and it still affects me now. That feeling of going through with these closed door discussions from managers and stuff, it sends chills down your spine. You're just waiting for the tap on the shoulder.
And the worst thing about that as well is always the hope as well that maybe things will work out, but then you're not sure if it's going to, and it's just horrible when it's kind of like that. I mean, the worst thing with this is the fact that they told me that it was the lack of communication though, especially being told to call customers and tell them, that their pre-orders weren't going to be fulfilled or whatever, but they didn't tell them why that was, so that staff couldn't tell people why. And it's that's a horrible situation to be put in. It's just, it's not good, but
it is.
Just hope all the people affected can move on. It's just really terrible, but yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. Any more?
That's about it. That's all I got for this week.
That is it. But I've just remembered another big news story that we didn't mention, is that they've
Here he goes. Look, he's in again.
I know.
He hasn't
I'm
learned,
getting sick of this. But go on. What is it, Matt? This time, go on. Is it about Fortnite? If it's about Fortnite, John, I'm going to be furious.
John, hold on. Slow down, John. Let's go quiet. Me and you go quiet. James can discuss the news story with Matt, because I think this would be very entertaining. Go on.
Well,
go on, Matt.
Over last week, Hello Games have confirmed that No Man's Sky is going to Xbox One, and the Xbox One version is going to have 4K and HDR and stuff. Is going to include all previous updates that the PlayStation 4 version had. But they've also announced this new big update, which is called No Man's Sky Next, and that's dropping this summer. They say it's the biggest update so far. I mean, it's got its own logo, so they're clearly bigging up in a big way. It's not just here's a new patch dropping. No other news is known about the actual patch, but I'm quite interested to see. And the fact they're bigging up and they're calling it No Man's Sky Next, it's quite interesting to see what it's going to be and what it's going to include.
Thanks for the press release, Matt. That's great. I didn't think there was any point in including that because there was no detail at all. There was nothing to talk about there. All you've got is there's a game's coming out on another format next, later in the year or whatever. We don't know anything about it. It's what else? There was no point in including that story. That's why I didn't use it.
I just thought obviously No Man's Sky, it's a rather an infamous game. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about it being on another platform.
Sorry.
You all right, John?
Shit, I didn't have time to mute, sorry.
Welcome to the Computer Game Show. Future Games Media Britlist winners.
One of you must have thoughts on this, surely.
No, I'll be honest with you. It's interesting to see if it gets a new lease of life by releasing it on a new console. But it's a strange one. Like it keeps going. They haven't given up.
No way, no. And this is the biggest one so far, biggest update so far. And the last one, is it Atlas?
You've said that about
Atlas
8
Rises.
times. That.
Yeah, well, it's Atlas Rises was massive. They had like base building.
Matt,
yes.
Matt, when was the last time you played it?
Well, it doesn't matter when I last played it.
No, but you're the one who keeps bringing it up.
You're the one who's really excited about it. So when did you last play it?
I don't know. Whenever Atlas Rises came out.
When was that?
Don't know, like back into last year.
How's The Witcher going, Matt?
No more. Doing?
Yeah, how's The Witcher going?
Well, that's got nothing to do with this game.
It's got something to do with everything.
Monster Hunter? How's Monster Hunter?
I haven't played that for a long time.
Right. Shall I tell you what I've been playing this week? So I've been bang on Far Cry 5. Has anyone else been playing this?
No.
Yeah, man. I've been playing Far Cry 5. Not as much as I'd like, but yeah.
That is a game that I could play for... I mean, I must have put about 6 hours into it this week already.
Mm.
And it feels like I barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, I think I probably similar amount of time, maybe slightly less. But yeah, like you, it feels like, super barely scratched the surface. But, I mean, it doesn't, unlike Far Cry 4 and 3, you've not got a map absolutely drowning in icons either, so it doesn't feel as overwhelming. Does that make sense?
Oh,
but
totally.
I don't want to jump ahead, but yeah, that's kind of where I feel about it right now.
Okay, so have you read a lot of the sort of press reaction to this game, John?
I read a little bit. It's more like quotes pulled out of reviews on Twitter rather than reading entire reviews or watching videos or anything like that. Because I knew I was going to play it, so I didn't really want to go and fill my head with 20 opinions. Because it does color you. It does end up coloring your experience if you take on too many other people's thoughts. So yeah, some people I heard some people it has some elements of Far Cry 2, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. And then other people were saying that it's a lot like 3 and 4, and then other people were saying, already I'd probably taken in too much, and I'm thinking too much rather than just going in pure for me. Yeah. How about you?
I've listened to a lot of opinions. I've watched some YouTube videos, listened to a lot of podcasts talk about the game, and it's a funny one because it seems that a lot of people were burnt out by Far Cry, and that's something that I can't relate to because mainly. Primal felt so different to me that it didn't feel like a, mainline Far Cry game. It felt very different to those games, even though it was along the same sort of format. Far Cry 4 seemed like the last proper Far Cry game that I played, and this feels like a big enough step forward from that to feel worthy of the 5 number. The main complaint seems to be that the story is not as involving and there's not as big of a focus on the story elements and the reason why you're fighting these games as people were expecting. And to some extent, I get that, I understand that, because the marketing leading up to this was very much focused on the story, and it was very easy to fill the gaps and say, okay, we're going to learn about this cult, and we're going to...
So on that subject, right? Yeah. I mean, I've seen a little bit of what's been coming out of America and some threads on Twitter. Here we go, thread. I'm going to say a bunch of stuff about why I'm right about this subject, thread.
Yeah.
But... a lot of people seem to be annoyed. Now, this is my perception of this opinion, so I'm not quoting directly. Annoyed that it's not basically some anti-Trump game that they kind of got into their mind that it was going to be. Now, this is this is my thought and just how I'm perceiving it, right? So, but from my perspective, they go, okay, so the marketing led them to think that, and I agree that the very first trailers and stuff that came out, literally, I said trailer that came out, the very first thing did definitely lean on that kind of hot button issue and lean into that without being specific or too flagrant about it. It definitely pushed similar buttons, but I would say everything that they released post that in terms of marketing, in terms of E3 demos was I mean, the one at E3 was just action, basically, and carnage and co-op buddies and things like that. And I didn't really see anything beyond that. It felt like people were just making up the stories in their mind, and then when the game came out and it wasn't what they wanted it to be, they wanted it, they were fighting a good fight and all this bollocks. It wasn't on their team or whatever. They've got up in arms about it. Whereas for me now, I've only played 4 or 5 hours, and I don't know if I'm about to say what you're about to say, so apologies if I'm stamping on what you're about to say. But for me, the opening is absolutely amazing. I was completely drawn in. I thought it's they've always had strong openings. 2 had a brilliant opening. Yeah. 3 has an amazing opening. And 4, they all do. Even the original, which isn't a Ubisoft game. But I thought the opening to this was really quite something, where you're in a helicopter with some police, and then you move into the church where the guy's giving a sermon and stuff like that. It was really affecting, really cool, genuinely intimidating, and thought-provoking, but not necessarily in the respect that people seem to be crying out for the game to be about. And I do agree that they definitely weren't shying away from pressing those buttons with the original marketing and some of the imagery that they've used. So I'm not trying to say that they weren't, but I do also feel that people have created a narrative in their own minds of what they thought Far Cry 5 were going to be, and they've unsurprisingly been disappointed when it's not that game. But I do feel that's slightly harsh on Ubisoft, who I've criticised many times in the past in my career for being disingenuous in their marketing, especially with the original Assassin's Creed. I do feel it's a little unfair, considering everything I saw for Far Cry 5 after that initial push was kind of action-based, open-world-based, more systems-based, and less about sort of pushing buttons. That's my perception of it. But
yeah,
I
don't perceive it in the same way. The negative reaction to the sort of story elements of the game, I don't see it that way. And I don't know what you've read, and you might have read different things to me, but I think that the reaction has not been what the game's about as such, but where the game puts its focus. So not so much, hey, this is anti-Trump and anti-religion and anti-this, anti-that. Because, so those of you that haven't really followed Far Cry 5, the main idea is that you're a rookie marshal in America going to this place in America. I can't remember the state. I'm terrible with that stuff. Montana. Where a religious cult has taken over. It's also been completely cut off from the rest of the country. So the rest of the country doesn't know what's going on or how bad it's getting in Montana. The worry is that that it's going to spread to the rest of America, and you're going in there because a video has been released from Montana showing the cult leader essentially kidnapping someone. So he's got a warrant on his head, and you're going to arrest him. You land in Montana, and you see how bad shit has really gone in that place. And you're right, the first trailer was very sort of hinting towards the religious right, the far right sort of taking over and what that would be like. I think the main complaint hasn't been necessarily about the points that it has to make. It's that the original trailer sort of seemed to suggest that this, because Far Cry games have always been, here's a bit of story just to explain why you're trying to kill everyone in this area. And this seemed to suggest that this was going to have the feeling of a sort of Bioshock game. And there's a sort of, that's not a great way of explaining what I mean, but with a Bioshock game, there's so much story in there. Everything you're doing in there is wrapped up in the story. And it felt like that this was going to heavily lean on who the cult were, why they built up, how they built up, and why, there's such a threat to society, why it's a problem to be wrapped up in a cult.
Do you feel like it's not done that?
No. And I kind
of feel like it has.
I think it does. Like that opening, I think is incredible. Like it really is, and it really sets the tone for those bits. But being a Far Cry game, and this isn't a criticism, I think I am slightly disappointed there's not more of it in it. But a Far Cry game is an open world game where you go and do what you want. You go to outposts and wipe them out. You do this, you do that, and there's some great mission structure in Far Cry games, but because they're so mechanically based, because they're so based on, okay, there's an area that I've got to take over, or here's a puzzle that I need to go and solve, and you can do them as and when you want. It isn't a linear experience. The story focus parts are few and far between. So
okay, so I think where we're disagreeing ever so slightly is I think you're talking about plot, and I'm just talking about a general story that they're trying to, like the universe that they're trying to tell, the world that they're trying to tell. So I agree with you 100% that after that opening, I've basically seen no plot, like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
But at the same time, every area that I've been to, the characters I've interacted with, like the NPCs, even outposts that I've taken over, I felt like they've all been informing this world that they've set up. I don't think it's 100% successful. I think some of it's a bit clumsy, and I've certainly had a few like bugs and stuff here and there which hasn't helped. And again, I'm super early, so please take that as it is what it is in that respect. But I kind of feel like it has done a better job of that than some of the previous games. Actually, thinking about it now, they all kind of do that quite well.
Yeah,
I don't think it's let itself down in that respect, but I mean, I think we're maybe talking about ever so slightly different things.
I think the thing that that sort of stands out with this is that when you play through that opening, it's a real sense of fear. These people have taken over. They're scary people, and they will do anything that they can in the name of God to completely wipe out anyone that doesn't think like they do, right? They will torture people until they break. They're those sort of people. It's scary. And then once you leave that area, that first area, it's like, fuck these guys, let's go blow up their towers. And it was kind of like, well, where's the fear gone? But also, where's the oppression gone? The oppression completely goes, and it's, let's go blow them up. I don't care, because ultimately, and I'll get to this, I fucking love Far Cry. And within 5 minutes of going, it's a shame they haven't really kept that tension from that opening scene. But I can understand why people are slightly disappointed that it didn't keep that.
So in that respect, there's definitely some dissonance there, and I agree with that, because again, you can't make a Far Cry game in inverted commas like that opening. It can't be that the whole time. Of course it can't.
You're right.
It would be exhausting, and it wouldn't be. Sorry, so give me 2 seconds, James. Sorry, but I still do think that everywhere that I've been in that game is trying to reinforce that concept, even though it's not necessarily giving me the feeling of that, because I'm already starting to feel like a kind of uber commando that's sliding in and shotgunning everybody, and I feel like Mr. Far Cry, like you do in the others. But I don't think it's a complete jump. I still feel like it's doing as much as it can, or it's doing an okay job. I think it's doing an okay job of reinforming that story, the setting that they're trying to tell through the characters you interact with, through the dialogue, even through simple stuff like the music when you go to the map, which is beautiful and really kind of haunting. But yeah, I do basically see what you're saying. Sorry, James, what are you going to say, mate?
I just had a question about this, because I mean, Dave, you were talking about all like the fear and all this that's like set up in the story from this, and as I understand it, you're like somebody who's been sent to arrest this person, right? Do they address why your character wouldn't just leave and get backup from loads of other people?
Sorry?
Do they?
They try to.
Yeah. So what?
They try to at the beginning, and basically it goes wrong, and he can't. He's in a situation where he basically can't
leave
get out.
and get back up.
No, leave and get backup. Get more people, to help, to assist, because he's law enforcement.
Oh, because you can't communicate outside the town. That's what I'm saying. The town has been completely cut off from everywhere else in the country.
There is a narrative plot reason why that is explained within the opening 25 minutes of the game. And it's fine. I think it's fine.
It's a bit like slack-jawed.
Of course it is, but
whatever. It doesn't matter. And there's also a reason why you don't want to leave, because you're trying to save people and stuff. So there's a reason for you being there. And so to go back to the original point, John, although I understand what you're saying about the whole, hey, it doesn't trump a Nazi bash, right, as much as we were expecting it to, because those are the hot topics at the moment. I think the majority of the criticism seems to be that, wouldn't it be nice if it really focused on that shit that you had in the beginning? And I'm with you. How do you do that in an open world game, like where it's constant, story? But I think Fallout manages to do it better than this. Like, it seems to create that sense of the outside of this town is fucking scary, don't go out there. Then you go out there and you see what sort of weird stuff is about, and it has that tone to it throughout. Whereas this, it goes from, oh my god, this whole state is completely screwed and you are an outsider, to let's fly around and blow shit up.
No doubt, and it does do that, and I think it would be to the game as a video game's detriment if it didn't.
Yeah.
But I do take that point, definitely. I just think, I do think that what I've heard and seen does kind of... it is to the point where I think people... What I was saying, I think people wanted this, like, anti-right-wing simulator, and it's not what they want it to be, because it's actually, from what I'm playing so far more like spiritual and very, very, very drug-heavy, like the other Far Cry games, actually. That's a theme that runs throughout them. A lot of, like, trippy shit. I'm already, like, hallucinating in the game even this early on, so that's something that was obviously not in any of the... Well, I don't think it was in any of the marketing that I saw, but it's leaning much more into that kind of weird, culty vibe. Did you watch... what was that brilliant program with Woody Harrelson and what was it fucking called? True Detective, the first series of that. Did you watch that?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, with it, like the weirdness of the Louisiana cult and that they delved into in certain points in that. There's vibes of that as well. So again, I agree. Like you're driving down the street, a bear's running down the street, something just exploded, someone's bugged out running into a tree. Like it's a fucking Far Cry game. It absolutely is. And so tonally, it's all over the place, but I still think that they're doing a decent job, a 6 out of 10 job. I'm not saying the game's a 6 out of 10. I think they're doing a 6 out of 10 job of trying to maintain what they're setting up narratively. I've been okay with it.
Okay, I've been okay with it. I've been okay with it as well. Like what I'm trying to do is like I can understand why people were slightly disappointed with that aspect of the game. That being said, now we've addressed that, my God, is it a good Far Cry game? Like, one of the best I've played so far.
I think so, yeah.
It's so much fun to play. So much stuff is happening. The variety in the missions has blown me away. Because what this doesn't do, and what the other Far Cry games did, was you open up a tower and it's like, here's all the shit to do in the area, go and do it. It forces you to go and speak to characters a hell of a lot more. So you're getting a lot more dialogue, and whether you believe that fits in with the rest of the narrative or not is your call. But it forces you to sort of go on strings of missions rather than just here are all the bits, go and do what you want. Although you can come across stuff and then suddenly change your direction of interest and take that stuff on, you're free to do that, and that's all cool. But the fact that one mission leads on to the other makes me sit and play it for hours more than I intended to when I sat down. And that's always been a thing that I've said when I've reviewed games. If a game manages to do that, it's got something. Because there's been games that try and do it, and the missions are so similar, and you know exactly what you're walking into, that you end up going, do you know what, I can't be bothered, and you turn it off. But it mixes things up constantly. Like there was one where I had to climb a tower and shoot satellite dishes, and I'm thinking, I know what this is. It's a puzzle platformer bit, which this game's done before, and it does them very well for first-person games, where you're making your way up a tower, and there's a satellite dish, right? Now there's another satellite dish. How do I get to that bit there? Okay, I climb up here, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I know what I'm getting into here. Suddenly a fucking helicopter with my mate turns up, and they like jump and grapple onto my helicopter, and I'll swing you around and you can shoot the rest of them. I was like, this is just fun. Then suddenly I climb up into the helicopter and we're getting chased and stuff. There was a mission the other day where it felt like a proper sort of dogfight in an aeroplane that I fucking loved. It felt like I really had to struggle to sort of shake this plane that was following me to get behind him and then take him down. It has all your classic Far Cry sort of where the world comes together and just does stuff. There was a bit where I was like creeping up on a base, and I saw a bush just outside the base, and I thought that's a great position to sort of get people over to me by throwing rocks and stuff, and then I can take them out one by one. And as I laid down in the grass, I heard a rattlesnake and fucking bolted. Then of course everyone saw me and it all kicked off and that, and I just thought that is brilliant. That's Far Cry.
So Dave, one of the criticisms I've heard with this then though is that it's like really similar to like previous games. Does that matter to you at all? Like,
it's a Far Cry. It's a Far Cry game, and it does enough different from the other ones to make me feel.
So there is enough that is different.
Yeah,
like, with
absolutely.
I've been like kind of heavily in these games for a while, as you have, Dave. But you didn't play 2, right?
I didn't play 2, no.
So two's like widely lauded and criticised by some people, and like 3 and 4 are sort of more technically proficient games, and they brought in brilliant ideas like the outpost and like the hunting, all sorts of brilliant stuff. But 2 had this amazing stuff that it was like kind of inexplicably removed from games after that, where like you'd shoot someone and they could get injured, and then other people would come out and they'd like haul off their body, or like fucking 5 minutes after a gunfight, this guy'd be like crawling up a hill after you. He'd lost the power in his legs. Like these amazing emergent moments. You'd also have buddies in that game where like you could be with someone for like 20 hours of a game and they'd save you and you'd save them, and they'd just appear at the right moment, and then suddenly that person would just die in the game, and it wasn't story, it wasn't plot related, it wasn't cutscenes. This was just something that happened in the game, and like you have to fucking finish them off to put them out of their pain. It's like it's just truly groundbreaking stuff that wasn't in any of the other games, and they brought some of that back for 5. You know, enemies can get injured. It's a lot more kind of mechanical, a lot more less like less organic for want of a better word, because you get a little symbol up, and if their little bar runs out, then they just die. But it's still something. It's adding a little bit more, and there are, you know, you get different buddies in the game that you can get in, or you can hire soldiers and they can get injured, or the soldiers can die and stuff like that. It still doesn't have quite the amazing emergent moments of 2, but at the same time 2 didn't have a lot of the slick stuff that 3, 4 and especially 5 has. So it's kind of, for me, the best of both worlds. And it definitely, 3 and 4 to me felt basically like the same game on a different map.
Yeah.
4 brought in some other stuff, and I ended up bouncing off that one just because it just felt so similar. And Primal, again, had a lot of similar stuff, but it brought in some other stuff with the owl. Was it an owl or bird?
It was an owl, yeah.
The same thing in the new Assassin's Creed. And some other, and obviously chucking fucking spears, and it's cool. Whereas this feels like it really feels good to play as well. Like even the pistol kind of feels like the Halo pistol, man. It feels really good. Like all the weapons feel great. The movement feels great. It looks amazing on the X. But clearly somebody's been paying attention at Ubisoft. Somebody's gone, okay, like we need to bring some of this more organic stuff back from 2. 2 took it to extremes. 2 you had fucking malaria and that could just hit you out of nowhere, and then you just like get really ill. And you just be fucked. 2 had guns that would jam. What game has guns that can just jam on you in the middle of a first-person game? So, like, I can understand why 2 drove people crazy, but for the people who loved it, they just played something that was constantly telling stories that were happening through the game systems. And you know, if you listen to me on these podcasts, you know I love that type of stuff. 5 feels like it's bringing some more of that stuff back, and I'm very happy about that. Plus, I mean, it's exactly like Dave said with the animal, and it created a story like that. That's what Far Cry does better than any other game.
I mean, the other day, right, I had a mission where I had to go and save 3 hostages. I don't know if you've done that one yet. But we had to get into a base, save 3 hostages. And the idea is that you didn't have to save. To complete the mission, you got to save 1 hostage, right? If all 3 of them die, it's game. You start again.
Yeah, I did do that one, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if this happened to you as well. I'm going to be gutted.
Yeah.
But I was so I managed to save all 3 of them. They were getting baptized, and you had to go and take down like 3 or 4 enemies, save the 3 hostages, and then make your way to like some camp where they could just like heal up and stuff like that, right? So I saved all 3 of them, and I was like, yes, okay, right, this is it. You know, I've smashed it. Then I'm making my way to where the hostages are supposed to, you know, hold up, but I ran too far. And it said to me, you're going too far ahead, you know, back up, because I was right at where they needed to be. So I thought, okay, right, cool, I'll back up, go and see him. The moment I turned around, there was a bear stood up right behind me, like totally scared the shit out of me. Massive bear right behind me. So I shot it in the face, and it, instead of going for me like I thought it would, it ran off. And I was like, oh fuck, he's running in that direction. That's where my hostages are. By the time that I'd made it back to one of the hostages, his face was getting eaten off. And the other 2 were all right.
Definitely didn't happen with me. I've had a bear run off like that, which was cool. But yeah, no, that definitely didn't happen.
So anyway, I managed to shoot the bear off, and I was like, there was part of me going, oh no, technically I failed because I didn't get all 3 of the hostages to the end. But part of me just thought, no, that was my story for that one. Like, I managed to save all 3 of them, but one of them got eaten by a bear, and had I not shot that bear in the face and just run somewhere and taken my time for hunting it, then they would have survived. But instead, because I panicked and shot him in the face, he ran off and ate my mate's face off. It was just that stuff. You come away from it going, Joe, what? That is just Far Cry summed up. That's why I love these games, because anything can happen. You can plan a whole thing, you can have this whole plan in your head about what's going to happen and how you're going to go about doing something. But if there's a fucking bear in the mix, mate, you don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
And of course, I've had those moments where you've seen an outpost and all of a sudden a cheetah's running in and just ripping people to shreds and shit, or whatever it is. Some sort of like big cat is just killing everyone.
Like mountain lion type deal.
Yeah, it's just.
Whatever. I don't know what it is. Yeah,
it's fantastic. And it has that fear as well, where you can get in some water in that game, and like you're crossing a stream, and there's always in the back of your mind, if I get to the bank, is there going to be a fucking alligator ready there to just like rip my face off? It's wonderful. It's everything I love about Far Cry, and it's made some really smart changes. There's been a lot of comments about how the progression system's not as good. That whereas before it was like kill 5 bears and get their skins, and then you can make a wallet, And in this, it doesn't do it. It's more sort of challenge based. Kill 20 people with this type of gun. Do this, and you'll get perk points, and then you spend those perk points. And I must admit, the stuff that I've spent my perk points on hasn't really felt like it's had a major effect on my gameplay as of yet. But then I'm starting to look at that perk tree in a different way now. It's not even a tree; it's kind of just a grid, and you can just pick whatever you want. But there's things like, unlock a second main weapon. I can't wait for that, because I do get a bit bored just running around with a pistol and an assault rifle. I'm looking forward to like getting another.
Yeah, that's a weird one, right? I mean, that you can only have one proper weapon at a time until you get a fuckload of upgrade points.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's not a fuckload either. It's like 7, and you'll earn that in no time. You can unlock that.
I suppose so.
But then the ones that you want straight away is the grapple thing and the wingsuit. Like they're just 2 essential ones that you spend your thing on. So I think I need one more, and then I can have another gun. But I get it. Like, that's fine. It's a way of you building up. The only real thing that I don't like about this game is how I assume it's got microtransactions. It's never actually turned around and said buy in-game currency to me. But when you go to a shop in any other Far Cry game, you had a shop for your weapons, you had a shop for your items. Yeah. You sell stuff and blah blah blah. In this, it brings it into the main menu. So it's kind of like, okay, I'll go to the shop, and it's like, buy a car.
Did you play Assassin's Creed Origins?
No.
Okay, so basically it sounds, I've seen this too, obviously, in the game, and it does seem like it's the same thing that they have in Origins. Origins has microtransactions and loot boxes in there. They're basically put away. They're out in a corner, and they're just for people that want them. This Far Cry doesn't have loot in the same way that Assassin's Creed does, so I assume it's just like a second currency to get stuff quicker.
I think so, yeah.
But it doesn't, like, even in Origins, it has a whole loot box system, a whole loot thing, but it's really unintrusive. It doesn't affect you. It's not being yelled at you, it's not bothering you. It's not like in the second, what's the fucking Lord of the Rings game, Shadow of War. It's not like in that, where it's like kind of intrinsic to the game and the end game. It just feels like this is what kind of Ubisoft are doing at the moment. They're like, okay, listen, you can spend money if you want. I don't like it. Once you drop your 40, 50, 60 quid, whatever it costs in your game, it's kind of shitty to have that in there. But at the same time, I've said this before, I know enough people who've lost their jobs in this industry to get it at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Ubisoft nearly shut down, nearly got bought. I get it.
I know,
so
it's just the way that it's put in that main menu straight away. You go to a shop in the game and it's like, buy a new car, mate. And you're just like, oh, come on, man. Just, at least separate it out.
It sucks because it ends up informing the actual game world and making it worse. Like, it damages. You wouldn't see that in a PS2 game that would have been meticulously crafted to create an experience like a Silent Hill 2 or something like that. then nothing like that would ever be allowed to penetrate its walls. Whereas nowadays it's more expected that, they, like you said, we talked for ages about how they crafted a story, how successful have they been, blah, 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 and then they shit on that completely the second you go into a shop by going, oh, by the way, you're playing a video game.
Yeah.
But
see, this is what I've always had a problem with this stuff, is the way that it does affect design.
Yeah, and from an artistic point of view, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it, and I think it's just for overexposure that I've come to terms with it, because do you know what I mean? It's like you can only get angry for so long, otherwise you're going to spend the rest of your life angry. But yeah, it's artistic point of view.
But even with like Destiny, and everyone had a problem with Destiny, it was like, okay, this is the microtransaction shop, right? I get that, like it's in there, it's in the game, but it's a separate shop. In here, it's like all rolled into one, and I kind of feel that's where I kind of go, oh, this is a bit nasty. You know what I mean? I mean, it bothered me for about 5 minutes, and then I went and shot a bear in the face and that, and I was all right again. But it was the first time where I've sat back and gone, actually, this could be done better. This could be done better. Like, separate it out. Don't just whack it all in one menu, because it just, if I've chosen not to be a part of that side of things, and I very, very rarely buy in-game stuff, then I just don't want to see it. I just want it to be like its own thing, something that I can completely avoid. I know it's there, but I just want to be able to avoid it. But yeah, no. Other than that, I think the game has been criticised too much for being a Far Cry game, and it suddenly seems like the general narrative for talking about this game is that Far Cry games aren't good, but they fucking are. Like I love them, and this is. I mean, if it carries on the way it's been going, if it carries on how different the missions are from what I'm playing. I mean, there's some shitty stuff in there, like you keep getting captured and you keep escaping, and it kind of feels like, okay, mate, you've done this, you're doing it again, I'm going to escape again. Like that stuff's a bit shit, but I don't know. It's just I just love these games, and the variety of the missions in this. If it carries on doing what it's doing, it's going to be my favourite Far Cry game, without a doubt.
Have you played bits or utilised other members of your sort of party yet? I hear that's a part of the game. So is that pretty seamless to get someone in and out if they got different skill set?
Oh yeah, totally. It's a piece of piss. You just walk up to them and hire them.
Okay.
Some of them are extremely annoying. Like they'll keep just blurting out the same thing. Have you had the sniper woman yet? That just keeps going to a different position, like over and over again. I'm like, mate.
I had one guy who was just like, cover me, you're here. And it's like, dude, we're just slowly walking down the street. It's like, they're here, go. Like, yeah, but I'm hearing that there's a lot of bugs in the Xbox version. People are spawning inside animal cages or with like the wrong weapons and things like that. I know Chet Rovers has had a ton of problems. I've not, but it's more than one person on the Xbox version has said that. So I'd love a patch to come out. I can't play for a couple of days anyway. I'd love a nice patch to come out by Wednesday, Thursday, so I can continue it knowing that hopefully some of that shit's been ironed out as well, because that's super annoying, hiring someone who don't shut up. That ruins the game.
I just take the dog now. A dog barking's fine for me.
Yeah, I've been rolling with a dog. He's all right.
Yeah, I've got time for that dog. I can't wait to play more. I'm still very early on. It feels like I am. It feels like I've heard that you can do the main campaign in 15 minutes, but I'm doing so many side quests. John, have you done much of those, like, enter the bunker things?
I've done one or two, I think. Yeah.
They've got, like, a really, really, like, I love them. I like, every time I come across them, I really like them. There's, like, so it's got these bunkers that people have set up. And they've all been locked off to make sure that the cult can't get into them. And they're kind of like mini puzzles. They're not even puzzles, really. It's kind of like, right, how do I get into this bunker then? Some of them are really easy. Some of them are really hard. But even those have been, like, totally varied for me. There's been ones where it's like, it's on a lake. How do I get into it? Okay, I'll swim under and then climb up. There's a hole underneath it so you can get into this thing. But there was one that I found today. It's not really a spoiler, it's only one of these bunker things, but I was looking at it and it was like, it looked like I was never going to go in there. Like it looked like it was really locked up, and there was a note on the door that was like saying "fuck you, you'll never get into my bunker, and if you do, you'll never get out again." And I was thinking, what's this about? So there was a house nearby. I walked into it, and the guy had clearly gone in there and committed suicide, and the key to the bunker was right next to his body. And I was like, oh, blinding. Really easy to get in then. I'll just pick the key up. I walked down into the bunker, and I had to like cut the power to open the door. So I cut the power, but the whole place was booby trapped, and like everything was burning. And I just thought, this is insanely different from all the other ones that I've done with these. All the other ones have been like, where can I get a zip wire to? How can I get up to that place to zip wire down onto the roof and then find a hole and get in? You know, it's that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
This was kind of like, it's like bait and switch. It was like, oh no, this one's really easy. No, it's not. Now you're like really struggling to stay alive.
Yeah, I do think Ubisoft are really establishing themselves as like one of the premier sort of open world designers out there. Obviously, they've got a ton of experience, and you know they have the whole thing where everybody slates them for having the icons all over the map and all that sort of stuff. But you know, to be fair, like we talked about, they've really backed off from that. But even if in the games where they do have that, if you spend some time just walking around and don't open the map, like the amount of detail and the amount of variety that they have in their worlds, like Origins' open world is fucking amazing. This is amazing. I thought Wildlands, it's a glitchy mess at times, but like the variety of scenery, the size of it is incredible. I'm hearing Syndicate's amazing as well. I never played that. So Assassin's Creed Syndicate, that is. So I think they really are kind of like right up there. They're not Rockstar, but they're right up there.
Also, the amount they keep going back to stuff as well, and just keep like with Wildlands, they keep adding stuff to that and improving it.
Yeah, I think that for that they're the best. Right now they're the best. The way they've looked after For Honor, the way they've obviously looked after Rainbow Six, the way they've obviously looked after the Division, which is incredible. Wildlands, like you say, we've already got to Far Cry. We haven't even talked to you. Have you checked out the arcade mode, Dave?
No, God, no. I've not tried that. I'm kind of saving it until I can't get off of the main game at the moment. I'm enjoying it so much.
Yeah, I had a little look, and it's like all this amazing. It's like Trials. It's all this amazing, like user-generated content, created content, where people can create their own, like sort of. They call them journeys, so they're like point-to-point levels. I played one that was like a Left 4 Dead style zombie outbreak. There's multiplayer maps. There's people who've created their own outposts and stuff to play. They're all like community voted and all this sort of stuff. You know, like there's a full multiplayer in there. They're doing live events starting April 3rd, I believe. Don't even know what they're going to be. Like they're really, really into turning their products into services, but kind of doing the best of both worlds, I think. So that's the other reason why, you know, you kind of justify the microtransaction side, because that you cannot deny that Ubisoft are looking after their properties better than anybody else at the moment.
Well, ever since the year that Rainbow Six came out, you know, they had the Division and they had a couple of other games on there. I thought, yeah, they've taken a step forward here, and an Ubisoft game now I'm excited for. Okay, I'm not into Assassin's Creed or whatever, but some of their output has been absolutely stellar. And this, for me, it's up there. It's definitely up there. As much as I can see why people are slightly upset with, or disappointed is probably the right word, with the lack of focus on story, I get that. But I can't join the whole, oh yeah, but it's just another Far Cry game. No, Far Cry is brilliant. Like, it's brilliant. I think it's true that if you were never into Far Cry games, then this might not win you over.
But I mean, like, if you're not into Far Cry games, why are you even thinking about getting Far Cry 5?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, absolutely right. But you know, I love it. James, have you ever played a Far Cry game?
I played Far Cry like Classic ages ago, and Far Cry 2 I started a bit of, but yeah, I've never really. It's never a series I've really got into, which is a shame. Because I should. Cause I would like it.
Yeah, I don't know if you would. Like, I mean, part of me says, yeah, well, absolutely you would. It's just, you know, it's a lot of fun to play these games, but like, I don't know, the Discovery stuff, I suppose it's got it. To some extent. You know, it hasn't got like a what's this part of the world mean, and, you know, it doesn't go too deep into trying to create the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe that's harsh. I think it's a really tough call as to whether you'd like these games or not. But you should certainly give them a go if I was
going to play it, which one would I start with, do you think?
This one.
Well, 5.
Let's start with this one.
This one, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so far, as I say, if it carries on the way it's been going, it's the best Far Cry game that I've played, without a doubt. And I loved Primal, so underrated. Okay, right, that's it. That's all I've been playing this week. We played a little bit more A Way Out, but right, John, can I ask you something?
Yeah, man.
We played A Way Out in the week. Ever since I've been going, come on, mate, let's play A Way Out, come on. And you've been reluctant, like you said to me the other day, I'm really struggling.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find a motivation. Having said that, last night I was like, let's play some A Way Out. And you were like, yeah, I'll be there by 9:30. And then I got messaged, it's going to be more like 10:30. And by that point, I was already playing something else, and I was halfway through a game of PUBG when you turned up. So I'm not blaming you for that. I'm not blaming you for that. That was just life. But
well, it wasn't even life. It was. I'm terrible, man. Do you want me to tell you like the actual what actually happened that night? This is really bad. I'm sitting on the sofa. Joe and I have started watching Mad Men, right? And I know we're well late to the party and all this sort of stuff. I remember people talk about Mad Men when LA Noire come out. You know what I mean? Like, that's how late to the party I am with this fucking thing. But we've started watching that. But there gets to a point where it's like 9:30. And I'm thinking now, usually Joe goes to bed at 10 and that's my gaming time. And I really enjoy getting on at 10 o'clock and having a little bit of gaming in before bed or whatever. But recently she's been like 9:30, should we watch a Mad Men? And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to put it off. Okay, all right. So we watched Mad Men, and then last night. So that's when I text you. Look, I could be on from about 9:30. Well, it was. I can't remember the times or whatever. But we'd watch one, and then she was like, "I want to watch another one." I'm like, oh, I don't know. Are you going to be able to stay awake for it? She's like, "Yep. We're watching another one." And there was part of me was like, "Just go to bed. I want to play a game." But instead, that's why I text you and said, no, it's more like 10:30 now because we watched another one. But no, when you said I'm struggling to put it up, be totally honest with me here. Is it anything to do with me?
What?
I did like I wasn't. You know what I'm like. I'm fucking paranoid. Was it the fact that I make jokes throughout the cutscenes?
What the fuck are you talking about, you idiot?
Well, like, all of a sudden it was like, no, I don't really, can't play. I don't know. There's been some weird excuses recently. I'm just making sure.
The weird excuse that I asked you to play it yesterday and you didn't turn up. Yeah, must definitely.
Yeah, but twice before then, I was like, do you want to play a lot?
I think one of the nights I wasn't even here. And the other one, I was like, I don't really fancy it. I was like, possibly, but then I got stuck into, to be fair, I got stuck into a game of PUBG, and then when you came on, we had a full team, and that was that. So that was a bit shitty, but...
Okay, no, it's not shitty. It's not shitty at all. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't, like, ruining your experience of it.
Dave, I've just spent the last fucking 2 hours of my bank holiday Monday talking to your ass about Far Cry 5. What are you talking about? No, it's not you.
I'm just making sure.
Wally.
Just making sure.
What, Wally?
We were running around a motorbike for about 10 minutes and just...
That was funny as fuck, yeah.
But more importantly, James and Matt, you've started your stream for A Way Out. So you played around to the same, I think probably the same point as John and I played after our first session. What did you make of it?
It's interesting because from the trailers and the way it's presented, I thought, okay, this feels a bit like an Uncharted style game in terms of how it's positioned, in terms of animation and just it looked like a very, very polished game about relationships and
really, is that what you got from the trailer?
Well, I remember seeing it at E3 thinking, okay, this looks really, really good. It was quite stylized the way that the characters were drawn, but it felt like a narrative game of that type, certainly for me.
No, that's just the guy's face. That's just what he looks like.
He had a massive nose. But anyway, so I was excited to play this. Obviously, the reviews came out, and it wasn't exactly smash in terms of reviews. But I overall, I definitely had fun playing it. I think it's quite serious, and I think it definitely needs more humour. I think it's a bit po-faced at points, and I think there were loads of opportunities in the scenarios that James and I were playing through where they could have required more cooperation between myself and James, much more complicated things. Like there's a bit where one of you has a wrench and you're sort of sitting in his lift shaft, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if there was a bit where you chucked it across and the other person had to catch it, and if they didn't, it would drop it down the lift shaft. But there wasn't really anything like that. It's all quite simplistic, at least so far. We're only like 2 hours or so in. So yeah.
It gets more complicated.
Good, yeah. I mean,
it does. So it builds up a bit, doesn't it, John?
I mean,
that bit on the river that we did was like, that required us both to shut the fuck up and concentrate on what we were doing, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it gets there.
The bit that James and I enjoyed the most probably was a bit where we were trying to
the toilet bit.
Yeah, the toilet bit. Yeah, where you're, James and I are basically in cells next to each other. One of you has to get this wrench from the other one, where there are like guards going past, and you have to wait for the guards to not be in the way, or not be going past your cell. Basically, then one of you has to essentially give over the wrench, and one of you has to collect the wrench, and then there's a bit where you're unscrewing the toilet, and again you can unscrew for a bit, and you have to stop when a guard goes past. And I kept screwing up, and then suddenly guards, guards
go past very frequently.
Yeah,
the thing is, right, John, have you seen their stream of it?
No, I haven't watched it, sorry.
Worth watching that bit, because I thought we were pretty bad at that bit, because we got called twice, I think. And just watch those two. Oh my word. It was like the Chuckle Brothers trying to do it. It was fucking hilarious.
I'm going to blame the camera angles on mine.
Matt, I played Fortnite with you last night, and nothing's beyond you now.
Go on.
Oh, I told you, Matt, to your face, so this isn't being mean. I told you, didn't I, afterwards, that was the worst section of sequence of gameplay I'd ever seen in my life. Should I describe it?
Yeah, go on.
You can do. I mean, I wasn't really,
Okay, I don't know how you're about to finish that sentence, but so to be fair, Matt and I landed in Fortnite in duos, and I got killed straight away, so I haven't really got a leg to stand on. I got popped straight away, so I'm dead. So fuck me basically. But having said that, Matt's hiding in a little barn, and you can hear someone outside. You can hear some footsteps. So he's looking one direction, looking another direction, looking one direction. It's fine. He's looking another direction. I was like, Matt, I think you should, but whatever. Maybe he's hearing it slightly different to me. Whatever. Then he just goes, I guess that guy's not around anymore, and just starts thinking, okay, there's a chest up there. I'm going to build a little ramp to get up there. Builds the ramp, builds in the wrong place, walks up to the top of the ramp, goes, oh, well, there's a gap there. I'll just walk off the edge of the ramp and fall down. In Fortnite, you can then just build a flat ramp, thing, and go across to the chest, but irrelevant. So I thought, okay, he's going to fall down and build a ramp where he is right now to get up to the chest. No, he just hides in the left, and just crouches down and hides. And then a guy comes in and builds a ramp that touches the top of Matt's ramp, so basically builds a triangle. He's not seen Matt at this point, so I think, oh, sweet, this guy's come in, and he's not seen Matt. Matt's going to fuck this guy up. So he runs up his own ramp, this guy, and then Matt starts shooting the guy's ramp 3 times. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't really know why you're doing that, but at least you got your gun out. And then he puts his gun away and gets the pickaxe out, which is basically does about 0.01 HP damage, and starts hacking away at this guy's ramp. And then boom, he's dead. Of course, because the guy's like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" Bang, 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 and kills him. And I was like, "I've never seen anything like it. I've just never said that. I mean, what happened?
I just panicked.
You've won a game of PUBG on your own." That is a really hard thing to do. You've also won other games of PUBG. You told me you won a game of Fortnite on your phone. What was that all about?
I just panicked. I'm restructuring the building. I struggled, and I was like, but also, I got confused. I fucked up. Who cares?
Well, John cares because he was on your team.
Well, he was already dead at that point.
I was already dead. So, like I said at the beginning, I don't really have a leg to stand on this because I was already dead. But anyway, sorry.
Going back to A Way Out. That stuff gets more complicated. What you two were doing, I can't wait to see what happens later on in the game when you both have to properly play together.
We managed to get up the lift shaft fine. That wasn't too bad at all.
No, you didn't. You died way more times. We died once on that bit. You died 3 times, I think.
I thought we only died once on that. I don't remember dying that many times.
No. It was 2 or 3 times.
Either way.
Because you died once right at the beginning, like we did, and then one right near the top as well. But anyway, regardless, it was fun watching you. My favourite other thing about that stream was how, and we did this initially, didn't we, John? And then we stopped doing it straight away, was James was describing everything that was going on his half of the screen. And I'm sitting watching this stream going, James, he can see it. He can see it, mate. What you, okay, I'm in the cart now. I've just picked up some sheets. And it's just like, James, he can see it's a split screen game.
Which I still think is a bad idea. They shouldn't have done that, you know. It makes it worse. It would have been better if you can't see the other person's screen.
I kind of agree. I do kind of agree with that. I think there was more opportunity to fuck around with each other.
And also, it's quite confusing in cutscenes where there's like two conversations happening at once. And...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I see you say that on the stream, but we didn't find that, did we? Because it seems to lower the other side's conversation and raise yours. So I found that quite easy to do.
Well, I guess in my I was trying to listen to both conversations at once to make it, but I guess at that point it requires the other person to explain what happened in their conversation. Maybe, I don't know. It seemed a little bit confusing, but after a while we just sort of just pushed on with it.
See, I mean the first hour of the game is really boring, isn't it? It's really not very interesting at all.
I think it eases you in, I think. And I think you're right, it is a little bit slow to get started. And there are bits in our second sort of play session where it was a bit like, oh my God, why are we doing this? But then there are moments where it's kind of like, this is actually really fun.
So how long have you guys played for? 4 hours then?
No, probably about 3.5, maybe.
Yeah, 3.5,
3. Yeah, something like that. Not a massive amount. I think we're about halfway through the game. Yeah.
But there are, I mean, it does become like hilarious as well, though. That's why I really started to enjoy it.
Oh God, we were laughing throughout the whole thing.
It's really funny, like especially that like the toilet escape was really funny. There's so many things that are like illogical and don't make any sense, and just I don't know. The dialogue is really bad as well. Mostly, it's just so incredibly cliched and just
it's rough.
Yeah,
it's definitely rough.
It's really badly written. It's not so good.
And, well, this is what's so interesting, isn't it? Because one thing that I come up with, like, I can't wait to play it again. Like, I am genuinely really looking forward to playing it again. But there's one thing that I don't quite understand is that these guys did Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Yeah, but there's no dialogue in that, is there? Which is
there's no dialogue in it, but the narrative explained. All right, okay, there's no dialogue in it, but the whole feeling, the atmosphere, the themes in that game are very complicated and very mature.
Yeah.
And here they don't seem to be.
But
do
you think that's because Brothers like he's making something that was like from his own like experience or whatever, you know, that he's trying to express, whereas this is something where he's writing something he doesn't know, really.
You don't know if Joseph Fair's broken out of prison. You don't know that. You haven't looked into that.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean, it's like I think John described it perfectly when he said, "Do you want to play cunt and cunt go travelling?" No, I thought that pretty much sums that game up. But no, you've played Brothers now, right, James?
I have. I played it over the weekend.
What did you make of it?
Well, I played it almost in one sitting, really, and I loved it. It's amazing, like from start to finish.
It really, really is, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was shocked, to be honest, because I hadn't played it. Didn't know really that much about it because it came out when I was away, and I'd played A Way Out and it was terrible. Like, you know, well, not terrible, but you know, not that great. So my expectations are really low. But then I can really see why people were really excited for A Way Out after having played Brothers, because it's fantastic. It's everything that A Way Out isn't really. It's just there's so much sort of like heart to it, and also I don't know. Initially, I found, you know, the control, like controlling both the characters, I never felt comfortable with that. But then I think that's probably part of the point, although it did begin to click sort of towards by the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's soon enough you're doing stuff with your pad that you've never done in any other game, and that was that worked quite well towards the end. Yeah,
but
once you got your head around it,
it's just so sort of touching throughout, isn't it? Like, I mean, you got the stuff with the trolls and the giants and all that kind of stuff, which is really good, and just the climbing, like all of, because I love the platforming side of it was brilliant, but it was the ending as well, because I was really worried towards the end that something like what can I say? Can I spoil anything here or not?
You should probably spoil, but
no. Well, you're editing this week, so let's do spoiler.
No, James, you cannot spoil it. Let's just move on.
Well, I was worried that it wasn't going to turn out the way it did, And, you know, because I thought maybe something would, you know, things would happen or whatever.
You thought it was going to be a happily ever after story, right?
Yeah, and so I was really glad that it wasn't, to be honest, because it was just nicer this way. It just felt, it was so much more impactful,
poignant.
Especially, you know, like when you return to the village as well, and you get like that sort of final challenge, and that really hit everything home. That was just,
Well, I mean, that's what I said. I mean, it's so similar to the ending of... It does a very similar thing to what happens at the end of Last Guardian. Mm-hmm. It kind of felt like the Last Guardian ending, as brilliant as it was, and as much as I enjoyed it, there was part of me going, this is just Brothers. Like, they've taken something from Brothers here. And
I found this much more emotional. Like,
oh, totally, yeah, 100%.
It was very, very good. So that's why I was surprised, because I wasn't expecting that after having played A Way Out. It was.
So you really didn't enjoy A Way Out?
It's all right. I mean, I enjoyed playing it with Matt because it was a laugh. Like, it was fun to just like mess around, basically. But it's not. If I can't imagine playing that and taking it seriously. Like,
no, if you hadn't known it was the same developer, you would never have guessed it.
Yeah, and it's also. I mean, like, the escape in it makes so little sense, like, what we were doing. Like, so little of it made any sense at all. But it's just, like Matt said, it maybe would have been better if it had been a bit less sort of, like, po-faced, really, about everything. If it had been a bit more sort of, like, comical, it could have been better, rather than making it feel so serious when there's so much stuff that's going on that's just ridiculous. I mean, I just could not stop laughing when, you know, that bit with the trolley, with the, like, the blankets and stuff. And then we got caught by accident. And it looked like a Jack-in-the-Box coming out of that trolley. It looked ridiculous. It was just so funny. Couldn't stop laughing at that. There was just so many things. And, like, you know, like going through a pipe and, like, I went through first, then Matt came in, and then realising that I could back up on him. And it just looked funny.
Oh, God, yeah, I saw that. We didn't experience that. It was fucking hilarious.
And the bit where you graciously stopped the fan from going round and let me go through it, then allowed the fan to start again and chop me up in half. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, just stuff like that. It was that was when I started to enjoy it. Especially, I think it was the point at which I started to enjoy it was the toilet thing, because it was so funny. Like, the way that those guards kept on coming every couple of seconds to say, go to sleep. And they just said it so many times. Like, they don't look at any other cells apart from ours. It was insane.
Also, the fact that you can't even, like, the other person can't even... It's not like you can press X to, like, do another activity or, like, pretend to go to sleep. You just literally you can only stand in that cell.
You just stand there eyeballing them.
It's like, okay, go to the corner, maybe read a book, or, you know, be a little bit less conspicuous. It would be fine, but it's just, I'll just stand by the gates, by the bars. Yeah.
I don't know. I like the fact that the rest of the prison is also clearly asleep.
Yeah,
you just think, I can't imagine a prison ever being that quiet.
It's also they switched the lights out, and then we're like, why didn't we just wait till they switched the lights out to do this?
Yeah, there were a few like cuts in time, and we're like, "Hound, is this the same day? Is this what's happened here?" Like, there's a bit confusing bit when we suddenly got into the bit where we had to like find the blankets. Like, Hound, so it's daytime now. What? How long have we been in those pipes for?
Because there's a bit where you get somewhere, and then it's the next day you're just walking around the prison again.
So
you're
I
just
think
like, right, is this
what it's supposed to be, isn't it? Is it's supposed to be you're doing all this stuff in stages, like a bit at a time, before you're going to make things. But it's not really made entirely clear that that's what you're doing. And
no, I know, but like, I know this is what we were challenging. This is what was challenging about talking about this game last week. Is how much of the game is like flat out. I'm enjoying playing it. Like, and you could say, yeah, but that's because you're playing it co-op with a mate or whatever. But then that's the point in the game. And like, that's the whole point of the game, is to play with a mate. And
it's like Sea of Thieves, isn't
it? Yeah, I guess. But then I'm getting more out of this than I was with Sea of Thieves. Like, I'm still really enjoying it.
There's more variety in this, isn't there? So
yeah, I don't know. I see what you're saying. The criticisms are all there, but at the end of the day, I'm coming away really enjoying it.
Yeah,
so
we had a great time after we'd figured out the microphone stuff and all that sort of stuff. It was great. Looking forward to going back to it.
Yeah. So we're streaming this again Thursday night at 9:00 on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/The Computer Game Show, or just follow us on Twitter and we'll tweet out when we're doing it. But basically Thursday at 9, we're going to do some more A Way Out streaming.
Okay. All right. Well, then I think that's it, right? Because, Matt, you've only got a couple of games.
Yeah, it's just standard stuff, you know, Fortnite, Dark Souls.
I played Fortnite earlier to Matt. I don't know how you can play that on iOS. It's horrible.
Mate, people are, though. I'm seeing a lot of it.
It's uncontrollable.
I'm seeing a lot of people playing Fortnite on the phone.
I don't get it. It's horrible. I don't know why anyone would want to do that. Like, I just don't understand it. It's like
out of touch now, mate.
Yeah, I know.
That's it. You're an old man. I've got Kirby Star Alloys down for you, James. What is this about?
I just wanted to, because I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I was kind of down on it and not that impressed. But because I said on Twitter earlier this week, I just feel like I badly underestimated it, to be honest. Because I pushed through to the end, and who would have thought that a Nintendo game gets better after you finished it? It's like there's more stuff that happens, and then also like the level design becomes more complex as well later, and just becomes significantly more interesting. Like the final boss is brilliant, and it's just also they add like extra game modes which change the whole dynamic as well. So one of them is where instead of like playing as Kirby, like where you can like sort of ingest any sort of ability, you just have to choose one, which means then you have to like kind of go through the game. It's not like the full game, but it's like you sort of like greatest hits bits for all the levels and stuff, and you have to like get through that with using just like one ability instead, which means you have to like approach it in a different way and like plan differently and stuff. And it's really good. Like I was really done with it. Like, but when I was about 2/3 of the way through, I thought I can't wait to get through this, and maybe I'll just give up and sell it. But I'm pushed through to the end, and it really actually becomes good. I really am enjoying it now. By comparison.
God, I can't wait! I really want to buy it for Harry. He's so into that demo. He's still playing the demo, and I really want to buy it for Harry.
Yeah.
So if you reckon it's worth that, then I'm just gonna go out and buy it.
I think so.
45 quid at Argos.
It's better than I thought. Honestly, it's I really was like not that impressed, but then afterwards, once you get towards the end, they start like chucking out all this nostalgia stuff as well, and it's just like, oh, this is great. This is really nice, and the music's brilliant, and yeah, it's still definitely worth going through.
And you've also been playing more Yakuza 6.
Yeah, I'm near the end of that now. It's I'm pretty certain I'm near the end. And
better or worse than 0?
Different, I guess, but I don't know.
Great answer.
No, because I don't really know how to answer that, because there's a lot of things which are different about it, because the story in this one feels significantly more focused than in the other ones I've played so far. There's a lot less like wacky and funny stuff that's like obvious. You really have to kind of look for it this time compared with before. But I think that's just part of the tone of the main story, because of like where it's kind of going, and I'm really worried that it's heading towards a tragic conclusion, and I just don't want that, because like Kiryu, the main character, is like, he's my favourite video game character of all time at this point, and I just don't want anything bad to happen to him, because it's brilliant. But yeah, I should be finished it by next week. How do you compare him
to Mario?
Yeah, it's Mario is not the Dragon of Dojima, he's just amazing. I want his tattoo, David. Not. I want that tattoo.
Mate, have a word with yourself.
The massive tattoo on my back, like on my hairy back.
Get it.
James, don't do that.
Get it.
Do it, James, do it.
Don't listen to Dave, get it.
I definitely would pass out if they were doing that. It's massive. Have you seen it, John? The tattoo?
No, but I mean, yeah, I'm sure it'd be horrendous.
It's awful. And imagine if you got a bad tattooist as well. It would look ridiculous.
Well, don't get a bad tattooist, get a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good solution to that problem, isn't it, James?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Get a good one.
I'll get a good one, yeah.
Imagine if I asked a man at a bus stop to do it. God, it would be terrible, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would, James. Yeah, get a good one. All right, should we get on to emails then? I can't believe this show is shot by so far. I've just looked at the time, and we're nearly 2 hours.
No,
it's nuts.
Okay, let's get on with
Shots by. Get on with it. Let's hear your emails.
Yeah, it's email something. If you want to email the show, it's thecomputergameshow@gmail.com. I have put the emails in the wrong part of the doc, which has confused me, but I found them. Right. Starting off with, sorry for the long email, feel free to cut the absolute shit out of it. So, Sea of Thieves, right? I totally understand a lot of what you guys said last week and agree the early quests have a lot to be desired, but it's the most fun I've had with a video game in years, and I thought John's attitude to it was, in his words, a bit pathetic. I love that over the last few nights I've been able to log on and not worry about having to keep up with friends' stats and gear. I just jump on, have everything I need to play, and crucially don't have to worry about being on every night for this to be the case. Look at Dave having to play a million hours of Destiny 2 on 2 consoles in order to find a raid party, because not everyone was on the same level. You told a story about how much fun you had playing before you lost your gold, and then John considered the night a complete waste. My focus there would be on the fun, not the lost gold. That being said, the quests need more work, although they do get more complicated and the combat is poor at best, but the lack of progression hasn't been an issue for me. I'm treating the game as a kind of second life as chat room. Blah, 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 blah. That aside, I love the show and normally agree with John's opinions. Arms is the best, so keep up the good work. Also, good luck to Matt in finishing Monster Hunter World, The Witcher 3, Dark Souls, and Inside in the next few weeks. So we can all see you guys play Sea of Thieves together. That was from Bitter Toad. Yeah, like I understand what you're saying. And then, like, by all, if you like the game and you're having fun with it, then all power to you. Don't get me wrong. I think that, it's not just the fact that there's no progression system. I just feel like there's just nothing. There's no hook, and the reason I got annoyed about the fact that there's no progression system is because they made such a statement about there being no progression system. They made such statements. They really, like I've said this before, they stuck their flag in the ground and they said, this is what the game is. We believe multiplayer games like this should be like this. And then they just provided fuck all. So that's my problem with it. Like, I actually kind of admire it. I like the idea that I can sack it off for a week, 2 weeks, jump back on and be leveled up with everyone. That's fine. But I made myself pretty clear last week, I think, but it's I'm never gonna jump off my initial thoughts. I think their mentality around that game, I think their thoughts around that game, I think their kind of politics around that game, and I don't mean like fucking parliament politics. That's just how I think, man. That's just how I think.
Well, there's an interesting point that you made there, where you said you told like a funny story. And just before you lost your gold, and I'd be focusing on that funny story rather than losing your gold. But what you might not have picked up on when we were talking about it, and we didn't highlight it when we were chatting about it, is that there was this story of being hunted down by this guy, and it was funny, and we were going, oh my god, he's on the boat and all that sort of stuff. That was great. But if you remember what we said, is that by the time he chucked the crates off of the boat, we were saying that's over an hour's worth of stuff we were doing just down the pan. And as you say, why don't you just focus on the stuff that happened when he was stealing your gold? But the point was, we'd put in an hour before then, and none of that fun was happening. It was an hour of, let's go to the island, we're at the island, dig up the chest, have you got the chest? Yeah, I'm on the boat. Yeah. An hour of that.
Yeah,
and it was.
And I get it. Like we could have gone back after one chest. We could have gone back after two instead of having three. That's the risk reward. I get it. But even the funny part where he was stealing our chest was like, it was kind of funny. But then he stole our chest, and then there was like a good another 45 minutes that we kept playing, trying to get rid of this fucker or trying to get another chest, where he just kept coming back and fucking us up, or just irritating. And it was just like, well, what are we doing? Like, literally, what are we doing with our evening? This is just... Yeah,
and the word missing from there, when it comes to risk-reward, is also balance. So everyone's got to have a risk-reward situation going on. When you're getting attacked, there needs to be some risk on them. There needs to be some sort of deterrent for them to not attack. Like, they have to... Like, if they'd attacked us and we'd have killed him and he'd lost all the items on his ship, if he had any, or if he lost some gold, as they'd spoken about before, then brilliant, we've killed him, we've done with him, fine. He's risked something to try and attack us, he's lost, fine, that's great. But there was no risk for him to just continuously come and try and pummel us.
Something like, I get it where people are like, well, if you're getting fucked over then and you lose gold, even worse. And yeah, absolutely. But I just literally just popped into my head, I don't even know if it's a good idea, but like, what if you had a multiplayer in the game where every like successful chest that you do, or like without dying, you just get like a combo multiplier, so you get more out of those chests, and if you do die, you lose some of that multiplier, you lose the whole multiplier, so you risk your multiplier. Again, you could still get guys who've got no multiplier and stuff like that, but just something.
Yeah, I mean that is something, but it doesn't resolve all the problems, because
it doesn't.
You're then saying, okay, but to get those chests, you're not doing something that's fun enough to do.
That's the other point.
That was my biggest problem with the game, was that those missions are boring. They're not interesting at all to do. And there's been all these comparisons that people make with like Destiny and stuff. And okay, with Destiny, when it first came out, there was like sort of limited like enemies and stuff like that, but the core gameplay, like the shooting, was still really good. Like, it was still really fun. This is not.
That's why I played that game for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Shooting things in that game feels incredible. That's why I kept going back to it. And
shooting skeletons in this does not. It feels awful.
No, fighting skeletons in this is just a joke. And as I said, it's not. someone else said to me, I think it was Athene Allen, saying, "Oh, I find it ridiculous that this whole idea that progression is the only thing that makes a game good or whatever." Sorry, I'm sort of paraphrasing there because I can't remember the actual tweet, but that's not the problem. If you're not, for starters, this game does focus on progression because it's offering you loot as a reward for well, not even loot, it's offering you gold to spend as a reward for doing tasks in this game. So it is focused on, hey, here's your reward, spend it in the shop. But when you're not replacing, I don't know, you take the loot out of it completely, if you're not replacing it with anything that's entertaining enough, then why are you playing the game in the first place?
If the core gameplay loop isn't compelling enough, then loot or no loot, it's just not going to be enough to keep you all playing.
No. And then to add on top of that, the fact that the loot is not, or what your reward is not interesting enough, then that's it. It's like, okay, that's why we had such a big problem with that game. Yep. Okay, that's probably that, isn't it?
Yep. All right, moving on. Hi, guys. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Just like to say how much I love the show. And since making a New Year's resolution back in 2016 to play more video games, I've succeeded fantastically with your show's guidance.
Nice.
I'm just finishing off the incredible Persona 5. Thank you, James. And afterwards think that I should trust James further and give Yakuza a try. Which of Yakuza 5, 0 or 6 would James recommend to a first-time player looking to jump into the middle of the series? He keeps goes there 1 second. Also, one thing that's been bugging me since the Game of the Year show, Farpoint is a great VR shooter. I'm with you, Matt. Genuinely was on my Game of the Year list as well. With the aim controller, it's amazing, and I haven't felt as much of a badass in a shooter since Halo 2. Really think the letdown is the ability to buy the controller and game for a combined reasonable price, if you can find the controller at all. Anyway, awesome work, your opinions, and John's a great addition, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, James, what's the chat?
0. Go for that first.
Yeah.
That's the best way to go.
How big are these games,
cool.
James? Is it like a 50 or 60 hour game, or could you get it done in 20 or 30?
You can do it in less than 20.
Oh, okay.
Like
cool.
if you just want to focus only solely on the main story, you can do it in less than 20.
Well, if that's the case, I played quarter of it, and you're saying I didn't give it a chance.
Come on, don't start, Dave. It's nonsense. Go on.
Just call me Matt.
Yeah, by accident. I
can dare you. I can dare you. Next question.
Right. Hey fellas, each of you is to appear on a special video game edition of MasterChef. What video game inspired themed dish are you going to cook to impress the judges? Make it tasty. That's from Ben.
Video game. Oh my god.
I hate
video game related
because I can never think of anything good. It's just.
I will say.
Well, it'd probably be one of those skewers from Breath of the Wild. Surely they always look really good. The spicy, even the mushroom skewers, I was like, yeah, I got time for
let's
mushroom.
Have you seen the food in Monster Hunter?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, that always looks mouthwateringly
nice. It looks
nice.
so fucking good. Yeah, like these steaks on skewers, and like, you know, you've ever been to a Brazilian restaurant where they bring out the steaks and they cut it off?
Yeah,
yeah,
gotcha.
You have the little car, yeah. It just looks like that, and fucking lobsters and shit. It just looks ridiculous. So yeah, all that. Give me all that.
I'll tell you something. The best looking food in a game ever is Pikmin. The fruit in that. Now, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a massive fruit fan, but my word, the fruit in that just looks extremely tasty.
It does.
Are you sure it's not the eggs in Heavy Rain?
The eggs in Heavy Rain looked foul. The word is foul.
Very good.
Rough as old arseholes.
All right, last letter. Evening, chaps. Quick pod question. Considering both games and extended fiction books, extended fiction, such as books, movies, anime, etc., what is your favourite gaming universe of all time? I think mine is still Halo, despite the diminishing returns of late. Although Mass Effect runs a close second. That's from Adam Stoke-on-Trent. That's a good question. I don't know. I read this earlier and I couldn't really think of my answer. Yeah, I mean, I like Halo. I can't really think that I've read any books or watched anything on a game series beyond the games that much. I don't really, I never really read the Halo books or anything like that. But yeah, Halo would definitely be up there. God of War would definitely be up there because I love Greek mythology and I have done since I was a tiny kid. I had a Zodiac book and shit. So yeah, definitely. I'll probably go God of War just because I love Greek mythology so much.
Man, easy for me. Mass Effect. I loved that shit. I loved it. I loved everything about that sort of universe. It was, the different races, how they interacted with each other, what they thought of each other, different planets and the wars that they had going on. It was just, so when I was properly into Mass Effect, like, I played 2 late, and then when 3 was on its way, it was just, oh my god, it felt like I wanted to tell people about it. No, seriously, this world is just utterly stunning, or this universe is utterly stunning. It's an easy one for me. Mass Effect all day long.
For me, I think it's Last of Us. I love the look of the world.
That's a good shout.
I mean, obviously love like the relationship between Joel and Ellie, but there's so much in that world still to learn, and I'm obviously extremely psyched for the second one. But I could happily watch a movie about that, and I mean I haven't checked, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is already a graphic novel about that out there. I love that universe. Although I guess many would say, well, it's just a standard zombie universe, and maybe it's like the writing of the characters and their relationship that elevates it for me. But yeah, I love that universe, definitely.
James,
I think Mass Effect is a good shout, because I really did enjoy that, like with the universe and that. Obviously, Yakuza is probably another one, but also Phoenix Wright. I know, I like that universe a lot.
Yeah, I mean it has, but then there was also like Ghost Children telling you what that stuff was a bit like, I don't know. It didn't kill it for me, because that's what the game's about. But that sort of stepped me back from going, this is a whole new world. As I know.
I just thought of another one that was mentioned in the show earlier, actually. Yeah, pretty much on this point, which is Fallout.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Huge fan of that world.
Well, Fallout's great, but the games, I mean, Fallout 4, I really, really did not like.
Yeah,
I mean, I played it through to the end, but there was still part of it that was kind of like, I don't know. Something holds me back from like putting that up there with the other worlds.
All right. Well, let's get on to tweets time. Okay, tweets. It's tweets time. There's only a few tweets. This the tweets are hard to follow these days, because it's just a load of good chat on the Twitter. But I plucked a few out.
It's also that we put the request out on a bank holiday Monday. I think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Like everyone's either like just too tired to reply or busy.
Yeah. But no, regardless, Stanshall tweets, after James's fine recommendation of Taiwanese survival horror Detention, I ended up playing it and researching the history and social context, which was really interesting and made me appreciate the game more. Which games, if any, have educated you and still been fun? I would say, just off the top of my head, it's a fucking great question, but like I say, I mean, I don't like to do the it's late thing, but it is Bank Holiday Monday and our brains aren't working as well as we'd like them to be. But straight off the top of my head, I would say Red Dead Redemption would be something that I actually, obviously an amazing game, and I spent time after that studying not studying, that's the wrong word, like clicking a Wikipedia article or two on the time, the area, and then what happened, I can like specify the moment where it happened. I'm playing the game, and then you finally get out into the open world and all this stuff, and you're completely enraptured. And then I just saw this light moving across. I'm sure this happened to a lot of people. This light moving across. You're like, what the fuck is that? And it's a train. And I was like, oh my god, it's a fucking train. I didn't, they have trains in this world. And in my mind, it was like,
you see cars.
Well, yeah.
What the fuck?
Exactly. And that's. I think they did that deliberately. If not, it was a brilliant moment anyway, and that just made it was super interesting. And I would have to say that, but it's a great question. I'll probably think about that more. And
what
see
what is it set in? Is it the 1920s?
It's a bit before that, isn't it? It's like 1912, I think.
Well, even 1912. I remember playing Red Dead and thinking to myself, they mentioned the year, and I just thought, the Wild West was about in the 1900s. Really? And then I looked it up and I was like, holy shit, it's still technically recent history. You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. It was nuts. So yeah, you bang on. That's the one for me. I couldn't think of an answer, but that's the one I really looked into when the Wild West, was still there and still a thing, and then when it died down, it was
1911. I just quickly googled it.
1911. Yeah. Well, so I just thinking, bloody hell, that is mad.
Sure, there's only one answer for this really, and that's typewriter. I mean, I learned about fonts. James learned about fonts. It was a great educational game. So agree for that, please. James,
it was still fun. I enjoyed that game. It was good.
It's fucking bobbins.
Well, no, because a lot of the stuff... Fuck off, Dave. There's a lot of stuff from before I mean, obviously, like Civilization and stuff like that, but one of the games that I really... I mean, you remember the original Deus Ex, like on PC? that was also. I mean, obviously, you start to get into all like the conspiracy theories and all that kind of thing, and this was all pre that sort of stuff being like really massive, and yeah, that made me sort of do some reading like before. I read like the Illuminatus trilogy and stuff like that because I was just curious. But I don't know. Yeah, I think I'd probably go for that.
Oh, another one as well. I just you saying about conspiracies is the first Black Ops. I just yeah. I mean, it was quite a fun take on the JFK conspiracy and some other stuff. So I just did a little bit more reading around that. I wouldn't say it was like anything historically accurate in that game, but just maybe do some reading around that, which is good. And I say reading because it makes me sound clever. It's Wikipedia. I went on Wikipedia and looked at some stuff for about 10 minutes on my phone. But that's just me being real. All right, Matt, did you answer that shit? Or the real answer with that pretend answer? Okay, moving on. It's Rowan Searle. He has got two questions here. First one, if you had to choose between playing games by only Japanese or Western developers for the rest of your life, which would you go for? It's a great question. I'm probably going to go... I was thinking about what the games I play the most, and I could probably get away with saying Japanese, could I? Would I want to risk that? I could play Pro Evo, and then some of the other shit like Street Fighter. Could I throw all that stuff away? I don't know. Nintendo games, I think probably Japanese.
Japanese?
Anyone else? Or is that it?
Hold on, sorry.
Is it just me?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
I totally zoned out on the question. You just started talking about Japanese, and then I said Japanese and realised that I had to answer.
Brilliant.
Fucking hell.
Cut this, Matt.
No.
Okay.
Right. If you had to choose between playing games by only Japanese or Western developers for the rest of your life, which would you go for? Dave.
Right. Oh, I've got an answer.
Japanese.
Western, easy. Western. Because my favourite games are shooters.
Well, so that means no more Nintendo games?
It would kill me. It would kill me, Matt. Like, we don't live in this. Like, it's one or the other. If this is a weird situation, like, not playing Nintendo games would kill me. I love Nintendo games, and even Dark Souls and other Japanese games. But you're talking like first-person shooters and stuff. I can't drop them. They're my bread and butter. Matt.
I mean, how to drop?
Oh, come on.
No, I mean, I was thinking of games like GTA. And tons of the other sort of Western. What?
Western. Come on.
Well, hang on.
Pick the right side.
Like not having any Nintendo games or any of those games ever again is an absolute killer. But
it is. But come on.
All that magic gone. I'm gonna have to go Japanese.
Okay, Half-Life 3's coming out. I'm playing it. You fucking ain't.
No, it'll be funded by Tencent. It'll be.
You can't play Fortnite anymore, Matt. Are you kidding me?
What?
You can't play Fortnite anymore.
Well.
Drake isn't going to play a Japanese game.
No, Drake's not going to turn around and play. Like, he's not going to recommend a game that Japanese.
This question will come back up again in 6 weeks, and Matt will be like, "Yeah, no, I said Western games the whole time. What are you talking about?"
James, well, is there any point in asking?
Japanese, obviously, isn't it? But,
I know.
Right, Rowan's got another question. He said, also, if you had to list your top 3 qualifications for being on a video game podcast, what would they be?
Massive dick. Great liar. What else is there? What's the third one?
I like Drake.
Yep, big Drake fan.
Big Drake fan. I'm a Drake fan. I ain't gonna lie to you, mate.
Can't be a bitch.
I don't know. Yeah, like I love games. Very passionate about the medium. Been in the industry a while. I've got a microphone. I guess they'd be my 3.
I'm talented. I essentially created the UK gaming podcast scene. I am exceptional at pointing out where games are good and where they are bad. So they're my 3.
James?
Come on, James.
I'll give you a 4th. I'm really funny as well. James?
I don't know. Patience, I think, is really important when podcasting with you. Because
is it?
Yeah, because it's just wall-to-wall rubbish, isn't it? Nonsense with you. So it's definitely got to be patience. But yeah, okay. I think... What?
Go on.
No, patience and staying power, obviously, because of that, because you just have to put
James,
up with this.
This isn't your Tinder profile. This is...
you can't just
have to be good on a podcast.
Patience 3 times.
I don't know. Being interested, I guess, in what you're talking about.
Being interested?
John just said being passionate. I can't just repeat what he said, can I?
This is incredible.
I guess.
Being interested. I'm interested, even though every time we talk about a game, I explicitly tell you how uninterested I am in everything that involves gaming.
But yeah, basically, it's like be passionate, have something to say about anything, and then just love video games for what they are.
Patience, be interested.
Staying power.
And what is the third one?
And staying power. Yeah.
6-pack.
What do you mean? You'll play a game to the end.
Yeah.
And that ain't going on Matt's list, is it? Fucking hell. Staying power. Okay, I've played my 20 minutes. I'm off. That's it. Deleted.
Can I eBay this? It's
Yeah. Have you sold that copy of The Witcher yet?
No, God no. Why would I do it?
Surprise. What do you mean, God no?
Why would I do that? Only worth like £7.
Oh, right, because it's only worth £7. Okay, right. Yeah. Is that it? Are we done?
Yeah, let's call it there. That's all
okay,
good.
Cool. We ain't going to beat that. Staying power, be interested, and patience.
Come on, it's like 11:20. It's Bank Holiday Monday. I'm tired.
It's 11:20. It's Bank Holiday Monday. Let's find out what Matt wants you to do on the internet.
Hold on, James. Right, you just said endurance, staying power, and patience.
No, I said
no. Say it's late.
I said that's a good thing to have. I didn't say I had that. It's but it would be good.
You're supposed to be what are your qualifications?
That's what you thought was like the main thing that you need to do when you put.
James. I'm sure Tamor does a lot of hiring at GameSpot. He's the boss over there. Do you reckon that's what he's looking for in a potential candidate to be, on the video team or the podcast team? I only want someone patient. That's all I'm interested in.
Staying power.
Seriously, podcasting with David, you have to be patient. It's just,
James walking into the GameSpot offices, right, for an interview, Tamor sitting him down and saying, right, 3 questions for you, James. Okay, if you answer these all correctly, then you're in. Are you patient? Yep. Have you got staying power? Yep. Are you interested?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm interested. Well, it's funny, actually, because I was listening to the podcast the other week, and you said, well, it's 11:20, I can't be bothered. Yeah. All right. Matt, what do you want people to do on the internet?
We are doing a live show at Rezzed in about a week and a half now, by the time you listen to this.
Just nuts.
So that's the thing. So if you want to see us, we're at Rezzed on Sunday the 15th. We're on stage, I guess, at 4:30. Get your tickets at egx.net/Rezzed. It'd be great to see everyone.
Regarding that, there's going to be a Q&A bit at the end of the podcast, like the questions. It'll be replacing questions from tweets and emails with like live questions from the audience. Please think of a question and don't get embarrassed to ask it. We just want questions for that bit. Otherwise, we'll look awful if we've lived like half an hour at the end of it. Go, any questions?
That's right. Okay. We can leave early, Dave.
Yeah, it can't be like the end of a work meeting when the boss goes, any questions? And everyone's like, I just want to kill myself and get out of this job.
And you're like, I think that's the one on the back. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, I was just checking my watch. Oh, no? Anyone?
Okay,
no?
Go.
Okay. Yeah, so go to egx.net/Rezzed and get your tickets. It'd be great to see everyone down there. We're also streaming a lot on Twitch at the moment. We're doing Dark Souls this Wednesday night and Sunday night from 9. On Thursday, James and I are back to A Way Out, so the computer game show over there. If you haven't already, you can give us a free subscription if you link your Twitch. If you've got Amazon Prime, you can link your Twitch account. So really appreciate any subs you want to do. We've got Discord. Go to bit.ly/TGCS Discord to get involved in that. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Dash Radio, the lot. So yeah, just any reviews on Apple Podcasts, we really, really appreciate. And that's about it for this week.
And we put this show out for free, and we don't expect to get paid for it. But once a month, we remind you that there's a little hat on the floor in front of us, and if you want to chuck a £1 in there, or if you want to chuck $1,000 in there, you're very welcome to. What's the
focus on the ground, if anything.
I had to get my exhaust fixed this week. It'd be quite good to get that, Matt.
With the exhaust on your Jazz.
It was, yeah. It fell off. It was terrible. But anyway, go on.
So if anyone's got $1,000 or just a new exhaust for a Jazz, send it round.
Just hit us up. What's the website they can tip us on, Matt?
It's paypal.me/thecomputergameshow.
Thanks for living it, and thanks for listening this week. We appreciate it. Tell your friends where we are. If they like games, we're here to tell them about what they should like about games. We'll catch you next week for episode 99, the one before the big one. Ooh. Holy fuck, it's coming around really quickly. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Thanks for coming on, John.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Why'd you say thanks for coming on?
It's just weird, isn't it?
Let's do a 9-hour podcast together and then mug John off in the last second.
It did, yeah.